Chapter 41, the last task before the Chunin exam. This Chunin exam is very dangerous, so it's up to you to decide whether to take it or not. No matter what the outcome is, I will respect your choice. Uehara said with a serious expression. Hearing the words of Kai Uehara, the three of Dongshinyao also realized the seriousness of this matter. Although there are often multiple countries jointly holding Chunin selection, but most of the time it is held by the 5 countries independently, and the surrounding small countries go to participate. Just like the Chunin exam in the original book, except for Sunagakur village who came to participate because it had already taken refuge in Konoha at that time, the other ninjas participating were all from the small ninja village. As for the ninjas from other major countries, they did not come at all. The same way, Kumogakure village, Iwagakure village and other Dainin villages will also hold joint Chunin selections, and the participants are all small ninja villages that are attached to them. But this time is obviously different from usual. Even the people from Dainin village like Iwagakure village will come, which is doomed that there will be many masters in this Chunin selection. After Kai Uehara finished speaking, the three of Kudo-shun couldn't help looking at each other, and finally Kimura Fumino asked, "Mr. Kai, if we want to participate, would the three of us be together?" That's right, this Chunin exam is conducted in a team format. In the early stage, 3 people from a team must participate at the same time, so as long as one of the 3 of you doesn't want to participate, then the other 2 can't participate. Of course, you shouldn't be under any pressure because of this, you must do what you can. After listening to Uehara's explanation, Toshinyao didn't say anything, but Kudo-shun and Kimura Fumino were a little entangled. "Yao, I think with your strength, you definitely want to participate." Kimura Fumino looked at Dongshinyao and said, "Well, I want to participate, but if you two don't want to, you don't need to worry about me. Anyway, the Chunin exam is not just this time." Dongshinyao comforted. "I know, it's just that although this exam is dangerous, I am also eager to play against the masters of various ninja villages, so I also participate." Kimura Fumino said firmly with his fist clenched. "Ha ha ha, both of you choose to participate in Kudo-shun, of course, you will not be left behind. Teacher, all 3 of us will participate, you can sign up for us." Kudo-shun said enthusiastically, looking at Chi Uehara. "You 3 really think about it?" Uehara confirmed again. "Well, I've already thought about it," the 3 of them said in unison after looking at each other. "Okay, I have 3 registration forms here, you can fill them out first, and then hand them over to me," said. Uehara handed the 3 registration forms that had already been prepared to the 3 of Dongshinyao. Soon the 3 of them completed the filling and handed the registration form to Kai Uehara. After taking the registration form, Kai Uehara directly distributed a shadow clone. "Please give these registration forms to Lord Hokage." Uehara handed the registration form to Shadow Clone. "Leave it to me." After that, Kai Uehara's Shadow Clone left directly. "Mr. Chi, what shall we do next?" Kimura Fumino asked. "There is still half a month before the Chunin exam starts. I just received a task. After the task is completed, I will prepare a training camp for you, so that you can have a breakthrough in your strength in the shortest possible time." "Then what are you waiting for, teacher? Let's do the task." Kudo-shun shouted with enthusiasm. This makes Dongshinyao always think of the 2 masters and apprentices of Might Guy in the original book. It's just that compared to Guy and Little Lee, Kudo-shun's spirit is still normal. "Let me explain this mission first. I just received an A-level mission from Lord Hokage. The mission is to go to the neighboring country of Chen to protect their daimyo." Kai Uehara briefly explained the mission content. "Protect the daimyo. Teacher, are you sure that such an important task is only A-level?" Dongshinyao asked in surprise. "It is indeed A-level, but I am actually a little strange. But according to Lord Hokage, the reason why the mission is only A-level is because the enemies of this mission seem to be only their own country, and there will be no powerful ninjas, and the mission the bounty isn't much either." "Is that so?" They didn't think much about it when they heard Dongshinyao. "By the way, Teacher Chi, how long do we need to protect the name of Chen Jiguo? Kimura Fumino asked. Don't worry, it won't delay your Chunin selection. The duration of this mission is only 3 days. We only need to protect the name of the Kingdom of Chen for 3 days. After looking at the three of them again, Kai Uehara said, Okay, do you have any questions? If not, let's prepare and set off. Teacher, we have no problem. Okay, as usual, we will gather at the entrance of the village in half an hour. After that, Kai Uehara left immediately. Then Dong Shenyao and the others did not hesitate and left the woods one after another. After returning home and preparing various items, Dong Shenyao quickly came to the entrance of the village. As soon as he arrived, he found out that Kei Uehara was already waiting here, and it didn't take long for Toshikudo and the two to arrive one after another. Just like that, the group left Konoha and headed straight for the Kingdom of Chen. The Kingdom of Chen is located in the west of the Country of Fire, and belongs to a small country. Even Tashinyao learned from Kai Uehara that the Kingdom of Chen does not even have a ninja village, and any tasks are done by ninjas from Konoha village. There is a lot of information about the Kingdom of Chen. The reason why the daimyo of the Kingdom of Tatsunoha asked the Konoha ninja to protect him this time was because he received a threatening letter not long ago, saying that he would kill him in 5 days. Worried, the daimyo of Tatsuno country hurriedly asked Konoha village for help. Because the Kingdom of Chen is not far from Konoha, the geniuses have just blackened, and Dong Shenyao and the others have already arrived at the capital of the Kingdom of Chen. After Kai Uehara explained his intentions at the palace and presented his identity certificate, the name of Chen Jiguo soon received Dong Shenyao and others. The name of Chen Jiguo is a middle-aged man with a slightly fat body and looks quite energetic. And although he is old, it can be seen that he must have been a handsome guy when he was young. Ninjas of Konoha village, you are finally here. After seeing Dong Shenyao and the others, the daimyo seemed very enthusiastic. Mr. Daimyo, this is what we should do. Although we have a general understanding of this task before, I would like to ask Mr. Daimyo to explain in detail. Hearing Kai Uehara's words, the daimyo sighed and said, Hey, this is what happened. The day before yesterday, I suddenly received a threatening letter saying that I would be killed in 5 days. In a closely guarded bedroom, so that worries me a bit, that's why I have to invite you Konoha ninjas to protect me. Chapter 42 Princess Asuka. Someone was able to sneak into daimyo's bedroom without being discovered. It seems that this matter is indeed a bit serious. This time it's just sending a letter. If it's a murder, then... Thinking of this, Uehara-Kei and several others understood why daimyo will look to Konoha for protection. Mr. Daimyo, I don't know why these people are trying to intimidate you. Did they put forward any conditions? Kei Uehara continued to ask. There are no conditions, you just want to kill me. Daming's expression was stagnant at first, and then he quickly denied it. But Dong Shenyao and the others are not fools, how could they not see the insincere words of Daming? It's just that the name doesn't want to be said, and they can't force it. In that case, then I hope Mr. Daimyo can cooperate with us, so that we can better protect you. Uehara changed the subject. Seeing that Kai Uehara didn't ask any further questions, daimyo breathed a sigh of relief, and then quickly replied, No problem, I will do my best to cooperate with you. Just as several people were talking, the door was suddenly opened, and then a slightly immature female voice sounded, Father. Boom. A burst of hurried footsteps sounded, and I saw a petite figure running to daimyo's side quickly, and then threw himself into his arms. Father, I heard that there are ninjas coming, are these people? The girl who threw herself into the arms of the daimyo asked Dong Shenyao and the others. Yes, these people are ninjas from Konoha village. Daimyo said lovingly looking at his daughter in his arms. They are ninjas, but apart from the big one, the others look so small. Can they protect you, father? The girl looked at Dong Shenyao and the others suspiciously and asked. As for her so-called big man, of course, she refers to Uehara-Kei. As for the 3 Kudo-shun, because they are not very old, they are not tall. I'm sorry, The little girl has no scruples, don't mind. The big name looked at Uehara Kaiji with embarrassment. Hey, don't look down on us, don't look at us young, but we are very powerful. Especially Yo, he is stronger than many adult ninjas. Kudo-jun stood up and retorted loudly. Xiaojun, don't be so rude. Uehara-chi quickly scolded. Okay Xiaojun, if it's just a little girl, what do you care about with her? Kimura Fumino also pulled Kudo-jun down. As for Dong Shenyao, he did not speak from the beginning to the end, but closed his eyes and rested on the side. His soul is an adult, how could he care about something with a little girl? After hearing Kudo-jun's words, the little girl quickly hid behind the daimyo, and then made a face at Kudo-jun. After all, it was just a quarrel between children, so it passed quickly. This is the little girl Asuka. Daimyo introduced after pulling the girl out from behind. Immediately afterwards, Daimyo introduced Kei Uehara to Asuka. When the daimyo introduced Daodong Shenyao, Asuka couldn't help but glance at him a few more times. Apparently it was Kudo-jun's words that made Asuka curious about him. Is that a kid? How powerful can it be? Asuka thought with some disdain in her heart. After the two sides got acquainted with each other, Uehara Kai directly explained the next protection plan for the daimyo. Although there are still a few days before the assassination time mentioned in the letter, Kai Uehara and the others still dare not relax their vigilance. Next, Yaoyu will protect Mr. Daimyo closely, Xiaojun and Wenye will investigate around. As for me, I will protect you in secret. It's the teacher. After explaining the three of Dong Shenyao, Kai Uehara looked at Daimyo again. Mr. Daimyo, in the next few days, I hope you try not to go to places with many people, so that it will be convenient for us to protect. Well, I see. Okay, let's do it now. After he finished speaking, he saw the figure of Kei Uehara sinking into the ground, and then Kudo-shun and the two quickly left the room. Seeing Kai Uehara and the others leaving, the little Princess Asuka became more daring, and when she walked out from behind Daimyo and looked at Dong Shenyao, he said, Are you Dong Shenyao? It doesn't look like anything special. That person just said that you are more powerful than an adult ninja, is that true? Looking at the curious look in Asuka's eyes, Dong Shenyao said helplessly, There are so many strong people in the ninja world, I'm not that good. I knew you were not some powerful ninja, Asuka said with some contempt after hearing Tashinyao's words. Asuka must not be rude. Daimyo hurriedly scolded when he heard the words. For the next few days, they will have to rely on Dong Shenyao and the others for protection. Of course, Daimyo does not want the relationship between the two sides to become too stiff. I won't care, because Princess Asuka has said a lot, and I am indeed too weak in the whole ninja world. Hearing Dong Shenyao's words, the name was a little surprised. What a mature boy, according to his nature, he will probably become a powerful ninja in the future. Daimyo thought to himself, although he is not a ninja, as a daimyo, he has a strong grasp of human nature. You're acquainted. Asuka didn't expect Dong Shenyao to say so. After a moment of stunned, she pouted. As the lord of a country, there are still many things to do. Just now, it was for the sake of receiving Dong Shenyao and the others that he made some time. Now after the handover is completed, the daimyo will continue to handle government affairs. On the other hand, Dong Shenyao followed the daimyo every step of the way. Originally, Asuka was not interested in her father's handling of government affairs, but out of curiosity about Dong Shenyao, she even stayed, and sat on the side staring at Dong Shenyao with her big watery eyes, as if to make Dong Shenyao sees through the general. And being stared at by such a little loli, Dong Shenyao was also a little uncomfortable. Simply close your eyes and start refining chakra. As it was getting late, Asuka soon became sleepy. Seeing this name, he called a maid and took Asuka away. After Asuka left, Tashinyao also breathed a sigh of relief. Daimyo didn't rest until late at night. However, the daimyo is resting, but Dong Shenyao has to continue to carry out the task to protect the daimyo. It was not until dawn that Toshi Kudo came to replace Tashinyao. In a flash, 3 days passed, and this day has reached the date mentioned in the letter, which means that someone will come to kill the big name today. Although there was no danger in the past few days, Dong Shenyao and the others did not dare to relax their vigilance. Especially now that the deadline is approaching, Dong Shenyao and the others are even more nervous. It's not good, Lord Damo. Dong Shenyao was protecting the big name in the room like a few days ago. Suddenly the door was pushed open, and then a servant rushed in a panic. Chapter 43 Misfortune. What happened? Why don't you understand the rules? Dame was very angry when he saw that the servant came in without knocking on the door. The most important thing is that this is in front of Uehara Kai and the others, which makes the daimyo feel a little humiliated. Lord Daming is not good, the princess is gone. So the servant couldn't care about Daming's anger, he knelt on the ground and shouted. The princess is gone. What? Daimyo didn't respond at first, but soon exclaimed, and immediately stood up and stared at the servant kneeling on the ground. You say it again, what happened? Your Majesty, Princess Asuka is gone. After receiving the confirmation from the servant, Daimyo immediately sat down, his eyes were a little lost, and he muttered to himself, how could this happen, how could Asuka disappear? Mr. Daimyo, are you alright? Dong Shenyao looked at Daimyo worriedly and asked. I'm fine. After a while, Daming came back to his senses and waved at Dong Shenyao. Immediately afterwards, Daimyo looked at the servant below and asked, how did Asuka disappear? My lord, I don't know how Princess Asuka went missing. Just now, a maid went to Princess Asuka's room to clean up as usual, but she didn't see the princess, but found a letter on the table. Said, the servant. He took out a letter from his pocket and presented it to the daimyo with both hands. Just when Daming was about to pick him up, Dong Shenyao stopped him. Mr. Daming is slow. Immediately afterwards, Dong Shenyao took the letter under the incomprehensible gaze of Daming. After careful inspection, it was confirmed that there was no problem, so he handed it to Daming again and explained. Sorry, Mr. Daming, but now is a critical moment, so I will only be careful. It's nothing, I understand. Although he was anxious, Daimyo knew that Dong Shenyao was doing this to protect him, so he didn't want to lose his temper. After receiving the letter, Daimyo couldn't wait to read it. Soon, Daimyo's face became extremely gloomy, and the change in the expression on his face was seen by Dong Shenyao. It's just that although I was curious about the content of the letter, it was someone's privacy after all, and Dong Shenyao didn't ask. But the next moment, under Dong Shenyao's surprised eyes, he saw that Daming actually stood up and walked in front of him and bent down. Mr. Tashinyao, please save the little girl Asuka. Mr. Daimyo, what are you doing? Dong Shenyao hurriedly avoided the big gift from Daimyo, and then asked. Sir, please read this letter first. After Daimyo got up, he handed the letter in his hand to Dong Shenyao. After receiving the letter, Dong Shenyao looked at it directly. When he read it, he understood why the daimyo acted so abnormally. It turned out that the letter stated that Nika was kidnapped by him. If he wanted to save Asuka, he would have to bring 1 million taels to the designated place to redeem Asuka. Mr. Daimyo, what are your plans now? Dong Shenyao asked after returning the letter to Daimyo. Mr. Dong Shenyao, it is true that our country of Chen is very poor. Even if I am Daming, it is impossible to spend 1 million taels, unless the national treasury is used. But in this way, the people of our country of Chen will suffer. So I also asked Mr. Dong Shenyao to save my daughter for me. I am very grateful, Dame begged. Although this was a daimyo's request, Dong Shenyao did not immediately agree. After all, his mission this time was to protect the daimyo, not to save his daughter for the daimyo. That is to say, no matter whether the daimyo's daughter is dead or alive, as long as the daimyo doesn't die, his mission is complete. It's just that Dong Shenyao thought more at this time, so he didn't directly refuse. Mr. Daimyo, I can't decide this matter alone, so please wait a moment, sir, and I will ask the teacher for instructions. Okay, just please hurry up, sir. The letter said that the money must be delivered before noon, and it is not long before the deadline. Daimyo said anxiously. Don't worry, it will be soon. Said, Dong Shenyao directly hand seal used shadow clone. Seeing two identical Dong Shenyao appear in front of him, the daimyo felt a little miraculous. But he also knows that this is the ninja. Dong Shenyao still has to protect the daimyo, so of course he can't find Kai Uehara himself, so he can only send shadow clone. Soon, shadow clone of Ta Shenyao found Kai Uehara. In other words, Uehara Kai took the initiative to show up to see Ta Shenyao. How did you come out, Yao? Uehara Kai asked. Ms. Chi, I'm just a shadow clone. Something happened just now, and I came here to ask your teacher. After speaking, Dong Shenyao directly explained the disappearance of Princess Asuka. After listening to Dong Shenyao's narration, he pondered for a moment, and Uehara Chi looked at Dong Shenyao and asked, Yao, how did you decide on this matter? Mr. Chi, this matter is not our task. We didn't need to intervene in the first place. It's just that I feel that this kidnapping is a bit strange. Oh, Yao, what are your thoughts? Uehara Kai asked curiously. Mr. Chi, this is the palace of the Kingdom of Chen. Although it is not as well guarded as our Kingdom of Fire, not everyone can come in. This time someone was able to easily kidnap the princess without letting others have it. It was obvious that the kidnapped person was not easy, so I wondered if it was the person who sent the threatening letter to daimyo last time. If so, then his request in the letter is probably conspiracy. So my opinion is that it should help the big name. And if we don't help with this matter, I'm afraid the daimyo will pass by himself, and then we will go with the daimyo. East Shenyao said the thoughts in his heart in one breath. Very good, it seems that you have strong analytical skills. In this case, I can safely let the three of you take the Chunin exam. Uehara Kai commented. Mr. Chi has won the award, but do you agree with the teacher? Well, I agree, and I've decided to entrust this task to you. Uehara Kai said solemnly. Teacher Chi, don't worry, I will definitely rescue Princess Asuka. Ta Shenyao said confidently. In fact, he had long expected that it would be him. After all, it was impossible for Uehara Kai to leave the daimyo, and Kudo Shun and Toshi were less powerful. If there was a change, it would be difficult to deal with it. Therefore, the second strongest in the team, Ta Shenyao go as the best result. Yao, you must come back safely no matter what. Mr. Chi, my life-saving ability is still very strong, don't worry. Dong Shenyao comforted. Sorry for being a little late today. Chapter 44 Against the Special Jonin, Part 1. Ta Shenyao cancelled Shadow Clone directly after negotiating with Kai Uehara. After receiving the result of Shadow Clone's negotiation, Dong Shenyao looked at daimyo and said, Sir Daimyo, I discussed it with my teacher and decided to help you save Princess Asuka, but I still need Lord Daimyo to cooperate with me. No problem, Mr. Ta Shenyao, if you have any requests, feel free to tell me. As long as I can rescue Asuka, I can do anything. Daimyo said without any hesitation. Seeing daimyo like this, Dong Shenyao was also touched by his fatherly love. It is not easy for a big name to treat his daughter like an ordinary father, and even more willing to give everything for his daughter. Mr. Daimyo, I only have one request. I hope Mr. Daimyo can prepare a few guards for me. When Dong Shenyao said all his demands, daimyo agreed without the slightest hesitation, and at the same time, he quickly arranged things. There is a dense jungle 5 miles away from the capital of the Kingdom of Chen. At this time, a team came outside the woods. There are more than 10 people in this team, including a sedan chair. When the group came out of the woods, a guard walked to the sedan chair and knelt down and said, Your Excellency, you have reached your destination. The guard's voice fell, and a middle-aged man walked out of the sedan chair. Come with me. After greeting the guards, daimyo took the lead and walked into the woods. According to the address recorded in the previous letter, not long after walking, daimyo saw Asuka tied up under a tree not far away. Asuka, daimyo exclaimed when she saw the princess. Come on, go and save the princess. Daimyo hurriedly shouted to the guards beside him. Without hesitation, there were even 2 guards walking towards Asuka. However, Just as the two of them approached Asuka, they suddenly shot two kunai from the tree beside them. The kunai was very fast, and instantly pierced the throats of the two guards. Protect the daimyo. Seeing this sudden scene, the remaining guards suddenly became vigilant and directly surrounded the big name in the middle. Who? Shouted one of the leading guards. Whoosh. Only a slight sound of breaking the air sounded, and the next moment, a young man in his 20s suddenly appeared beside Asuka. It's not that the man can teleport, but his speed is too fast, the eyes of those guards can't keep up. I didn't expect that the name of the dignified country of Chen would actually come. The young man who suddenly appeared laughed. Who are you and why did you kidnap Asuka? Daimyo asked. You don't need to know who I am, none of you want to leave here today. As the man's voice fell, his figure had disappeared. Seeing this scene, the guards suddenly became alert, and the headed guard reminded, everyone be careful. Late. The young man suddenly appeared behind the leader of the guards and stabbed kunai directly into his heart. Here. At the same time, the other guards also discovered the young man, and immediately pulled out their samurai swords to attack him. Bang! The smoke rose, and facing the attack of several guards, the young man turned into a doll. What? None of these guards were ninjas, so they didn't react at all for a while. Taking this opportunity, the young man has come behind these guards. Young man quickly hand sealed with both hands, looking ready to use ninjutsu to attack these guards. But at this moment, Daimyo, who had been standing there just now, seemed to be frightened, came behind him at some point, and kicked the young man. Huh! The daimyo went straight through the young man's body. Not good. It's a clone. It's you who's waiting. The youth's voice sounded, but it came from behind the daimyo. I saw the youth kick the daimyo in the back. Bang! Suddenly, the daimyo was kicked flying, and finally flew more than 10 meters and hit a big tree. Bang! A cloud of smoke enveloped the daimyo. When the smoke cleared, the daimyo had disappeared and was replaced by Dong Shenyao. I knew your name was fake. The young man looked at Dong Shenyao proudly and said. Really? Dong Shenyao was not only not surprised, but a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and then Dong Shenyao turned into a puddle of dirt. What's the matter? The smile on the young man's face froze. He didn't expect this to be a soil clone. Immediately, the youth looked everywhere. What are you looking for? Dong Shenyao's voice sounded again, and looking in the direction from which the voice came, he saw a guard standing beside the big tree that bound Asuka. Mr. Ninja, you've been fooled. As he spoke, a cloud of smoke rose from the bodyguard. When the smoke cleared, the figure of Dong Shenyao appeared. Damn! At this time, the young man already knew that he had been deceived. The fake name was not to attack him, but to confuse him, in order to save Asuka while he was not paying attention. The young man felt his cheeks get hot when he thought of how complacent he was just now. At the same time, Ta Shenyao untied the ropes on Asuka. Woohoo! As soon as the rope was untied, Asuka threw herself into Dong Shenyao's arms and cried. Okay, it's fine, Dong Shenyao comforted. Boy, your plan has indeed succeeded, but now you are still going to die here. The young man glared fiercely at the Eastern god and said. That's right. Dong Shenyao smiled disdainfully, and then quickly hand seal separated a soil clone. Princess Asuka, let's go first. After saying that, regardless of whether Asuka agreed or not, the soil clone directly hugged Asuka in a princess hug and ran towards the depths of the woods. Where to go? Seeing that Asuka was about to run away, how could the young man agree, so he hurriedly chased after him. Your opponent is me, Dong Shenyao said after throwing out several shuriken to stop the young man. If that's the case, I'll take care of you first. Saying that, the young man waved his hand and stabbed at Dong Shenyao. Although the youth is very fast, he still cannot threaten Dong Shenyao. Ding! Hearing a symphony of golden iron, the youth's kunai was successfully blocked by Dong Shenyao. The next moment, Dong Shenyao kicked the youth. The young man was very agile, jumped back to avoid the attack, and then raised his hand, shooting several shuriken at Dong Shenyao. In this way, the two of you come and I fight in one place." After the fight, Dong Shenyao found that the young man's strength was not weaker than him, at least in terms of physical training. In the blink of an eye, the two had been fighting for 20 or 30 rounds. Bang! Suddenly, the young man pushed Dong Shenyao back with one kick, and quickly hand-sealed with both hands. Cadent Fire Style, Great Fireball Art. Ask for flowers. Ask for a reward. Ask for a monthly pass. Ask for collection. Chapter 45 Against the Special Jonin, Part 2. Cadent Fire Style, Great Fireball Art. Young man quickly finished the hand seal, then opened his mouth, and suddenly spit out a huge fireball. Seeing the huge fireball coming towards him, Dongshan dazzled and saw that he couldn't dodge, so he could only choose to resist. Doden Earth Style, Earth Flow Wall. An earthen wall quickly got angry and blocked Dong Shenyao. Boom! A huge fireball slammed into the earth wall, and an explosion sounded, and a burst of smoke was set off. The young man didn't stop after sending out the fireball. Instead, he quickly threw several shuriken in the direction of Dong Shenyao, and then jumped to a big tree to observe the situation. Dong Shenyao didn't expect that the fireball was so powerful. The earth wall just persisted for a while before it fell apart and turned into a piece of broken earth. Immediately afterwards, the remaining flames rushed towards Dong Shenyao. What a strong Cadent Fire Style ninjutsu! Ta Shenyao was a little surprised. This was the first time he had encountered a situation where the soil wall was easily defeated by ninjutsu. But fortunately, although the earth wall was broken, it bought time for Dong Shenyao. At the moment when the earth wall was broken, Dong Shenyao jumped up and avoided the remaining flames. But at this moment, several shuriken pierced through the flames and shot at Dong Shenyao. PFF'd. A smear of blood spattered on the ground. Although Dong Shenyao was in midair, he could not dodge and could only wave Kuu to resist. In the end, most of the shuriken were blocked by him, but a shuriken still stabbed Ta Shenyao's shoulder. After his body fell to the ground, Dong Shenyao ran into the woods beside him without hesitation and hid. He knew that he had underestimated his opponent. Such a powerful Cadent Fire Style is definitely not something that Chunin can possess. This person's ninjutsu ability may have surpassed Chunin. Dong Shenyao thought to himself. It's just that this person's physical skills don't seem to be very strong, and he hasn't surpassed Chunin's category, so he should be a special jonin who is good at ninjutsu. Dong Shenyao soon had a guess in his heart. The most basic of ninjas is the quality and quantity of chakra. Once the quality of chakra improves, the power of both ninjutsu and taijutsu will increase. Therefore, only when the quality and quantity of chakra reach the jonin level at the same time, and one of ninjutsu, taijutsu and demonic illusion breaks through the category of chunin and reaches the jonin level, can it be called a special jonin. Simply put, the ability in one aspect is comparable to that of jonin, but the quality or quantity of chakra is not up to standard. Or surpassing the elite chunin in some aspects, but not as good as the jonin, then it can be called a special jonin. Obviously, the young man who fought against Ta Shenyao was a special jonin who was good at ninjutsu. He surpassed Chunin in ninjutsu, but his physical skills were still at the level of Chunin. Apparently this is because the quality of chakra has not broken through to jonin, so that the body is suddenly strengthened by a higher level of chakra. And if it is a true ninjutsu type jonin, the Cadent Fire Style it uses will only be more powerful. As for the elite jonin, as the name suggests, it is the elite among the jonin. These people have their own special skills, and the quality of chakra is far superior to the ordinary jonin. For example, Might Guy, the 8 inner gates in the original book, Kakashi, Reikiri, and the assassination technique that never cuts. At this moment, there was silence in the woods, and Dong Shenyao both hid. This is actually the real fight of ninjas, hiding themselves, and then attacking when the enemy shows their flaws. I saw that Dong Shenyao, who was lying on the ground, slowly sank into the ground. With the ability of the soil fruit, if Dong Shenyao fled with all his heart, there were really very few people who could kill him. Where is that kid hiding? The young man hiding in the tree was also a little anxious. Damn boy, I didn't expect that the blow just now didn't kill him. Huh. Just when the young man was looking for the trace of Dong Shenyao, he suddenly heard a slight sound from the woods not far away, and a smile appeared on the young man's face. Doden, Earth-style, rockfall. Dong Shenyao suddenly jumped out of the woods, a huge cloud appeared out of thin air, and went straight to the young man on the big tree. Boom! The entire tree was crushed by the rocks. Did it succeed? Dong Shenyao was not sure if the young man had died under the rock. Boy, you're finally out. Just as Dong Shenyao was observing the situation near the rock, the young man jumped out of the big tree beside him. As early as he noticed that there was movement in the vicinity, he was ready, and he avoided the moment the rock fell through the substitute technique. See how you resist this time. Kaden, fire style, fire dragon, fire bullet. Boom! A large flame spurted out and enveloped Dong Shenyao in an instant. Bang! To the surprise of the youth, Dong Shenyao turned into smoke and disappeared under the jet of flames. Not good. It's shadow clone. The youth knew he had been fooled. Doden, Earth-style, decapitation in the heart. The next moment the ground cracked, and a hand reached out and grabbed the young man's leg. Damn! Although the young man's physical skills were still Chunin level, he jumped up at the last moment and escaped the attack of Dong Shenyao. Dong Shenyao didn't feel annoyed when he saw that the sneak attack didn't succeed. He jumped out from under the ground, and then hand seal with both hands. Doden, Earth-style, dungeon as a prison. The ground around the youth suddenly rose up with roots of soil Jinchuriki column directly surrounding the youth. These soil Jinchuriki column bent into a circle, and finally met at the top, directly forming a cage. Caught you. The corner of Dong Shenyao's mouth twitched into a smile. Doden, Earth-style, Earth-thorn combo. The young man only felt the ground under his feet surging, followed by a thorn in the ground. Kaden, fire-style, dragon fire bullet. Youth can only use Kaden, fire-style, ninjutsu again to resist. Boom! The monstrous fire directly destroyed the soil thorns, and even the surrounding cages fell apart. No, these Dotens, Earth-style, although I use the ability of the soil fruit, but the power is still not comparable to Jonin. Dong Shenyao frowned. He did not think of a good plan, but because of the opponent is too strong to fail. Sure enough, even if a Jonin-level ninja uses the same kind of ninjutsu, the power is not comparable to Chunin. Dong Shenyao thought helplessly. Jonin is a ninja who has mastered chakra nature transformation, so the power of ninjutsu used is more powerful than Chunin. Just like the Great Fireball Jutsu, a Chunin may have a fireball with a diameter of only 1 jong, but if it is replaced by a Jonin, the diameter may reach 3 jong, and the power is also greater. It's just that the power of soil is limited. If I can temper the soil to make it more cohesive, then the power will be much stronger. Well, just do it. Thinking of this, Dong Shenyao took advantage of the young man's efforts to crack the dungeon. Start to condense the compressed soil element. Chapter 46 Breakthrough. Under the young man's fire dragon bullet, the soil thorns were swept away, and then the dungeon outside was turned into ruins. The crisis was lifted, and the young man breathed a long sigh of relief. The use of 2 fire dragon bullets in a row made the young chakra consume a lot, and he was a little tired. After all, this is AB level ninjutsu. It looks like a quick fight. Thinking of this, the young man no longer hesitated. Seeing Dong Shenyao's distracted appearance, he didn't care what happened to Dong Shenyao. First, he threw a kunai. Huh! Under the stunned gaze of the young man, kunai directly passed through Ta Shenyao's body. That's right, it went through, and it didn't bring a trace of blood. I saw that Dong Shenyao's shang mouth turned into mud, and poo went directly through the mud, leaving a hole. However, the soil in front of Dong Shenyao's shang wriggled for a while. The hole soon disappeared, and then the soil slowly changed back to the flesh. At this time, Dong Shenyao's clothes were not damaged in the slightest. What is this? The young man stared at Dong Shenyao with a look of shock. It seems that elementalization is really useful, but physical attacks are useless to me. Dong Shenyao thought proudly. After getting the soil fruit for so long, Dong Shenyao has been able to achieve elementalization. but he is not very skilled, and it will take some time. I was just stabbed by the shuriken just because the time was too short, and it was too late. Right now, try my new ninjutsu. Doden Earth Style Earth Spear. At this moment, Dong Shenyao had both hands in front of him, and the next moment, a spear condensed with earth elements appeared in front of Dong Shenyao. Under the control of Dong Shenyao, dozens of earth spears quickly shot towards the young man. Seeing dozens of earth spears covering a large area of the sky, the young man knew it was impossible to hide. Kaiden Fire Style Dragon Fire Bullet. At this time, the young man can only hope that Tashinyao's ninjutsu will be broken by his Kaiden Fire Style just like just now. It's just that there is still a question in the young man's mind at this time, that is, where did Dong Shenyao come from so many chakras, and he was able to use so many ninjutsu with a high level in a row. It's just that the young man won't know. So far Dong Shenyao has not consumed much chakra at all, because the Doden Earth Style ninjutsu he used all borrowed the ability of the soil fruit, which greatly reduced the chakra of Dong Shenyao. At the same time, because of the existence of chakra, the consumption is also reduced when he uses the soil fruit ability. Under the complementarity of the two, the endurance of Dong Shenyao has been greatly increased. Boom! The huge flame instantly enveloped the range of dozens of meters in front of the young man, and even Dong Shenyao had to back away. Just when the young man thought that his Kaiden Fire Style would block Dong Shenyao's attack as before, he saw that more than a dozen earth spears had already flown out from the sea of fire. What? Due to the lack of preparation, the youth was instantly pierced by more than 10 earth spears. The young man with spears sticking all over his body fell straight to the ground, his face still full of disbelief. Sure enough, the power has increased a lot. The flames dissipated, and seeing the young man die under the spear, Dong Shenyao couldn't help but have a smile on his face, because it represented his success. After condensing the earth element, the power really strengthened a lot. The most important thing is that Dong Shenyao felt that he was more handy in controlling the earth and earth fruit. Very good, it's time to go back and have a look. After walking over to check carefully, and finding that the young man was indeed dead, Dong Shenyao packed up the spoils and rushed back. He already knew by now that it was all a conspiracy. As soon as Dong Shenyao returned to the capital, he heard bursts of explosions coming from the city. The battle has already started. Dong Shenyao was a little surprised, and immediately accelerated his pace and rushed towards the place where the voice came from. Soon, when Dong Shenyao rushed to the battlefield, he found that this was the former Daming Mansion, but at this time the Daming Mansion was in a state of dilapidation, with traces of battles everywhere, and many corpses. It can be seen from the clothes of these corpses that they are all soldiers of the Kingdom of Chen. Not long after Dong Shenyao entered the Daming Mansion, he saw the daimyo and Princess Asuka being protected by a group of guards. Obviously, Dong Shenyao's Earth Avatar successfully sent the princess back. And just when Dong Shenyao saw daimyo also saw him. Mr. Dong Shenyao is very grateful to you. If it weren't for your little girl, I'd be dead. Daimyo said gratefully. Mr. Daimyo, I'll say thank you later. I'm going to help my teacher and teammates. After speaking, Dong Shenyao rushed directly to the battlefield. Just one glance at Dong Shenyao gave a general understanding of the situation on the battlefield. There are 6 enemies in total, of which Toshin Kudo and Fumino Kimura deal with 1 each, while Kei Uehara fights 4 alone. Although Kai Uehara was outnumbered, he was not at a disadvantage because he was best at defense. Just because of the lack of attack methods, it is also difficult for Uehara Kai to solve the battle. Seeing this, Dong Shenyao did not rush up directly, but quietly sneaked into the ground. In the land of the East Shenyao, the speed was even faster, and it didn't take long for him to come behind a ninja who was fighting against Uehara Kai. The next moment, East Shenyao suddenly emerged from the ground, and then he used his right hand Rasengan silently, breathing towards the back of such a ninja. The sudden attack made the ninja unable to respond at all, so he was directly attacked by Dong Shenyao, and Rasengan was instantly imprinted on the back of the ninja. Whoosh! Bang! The ninja who was attacked directly flew out, and Dong Shenyao was afraid that he would not die, so he used ninjutsu again after the sneak attack was successful. Doden, Earth Style, Earth Thorn, was knocked into the air by Rasengan, was about to land when a soil thorn suddenly rose from the ground and quickly pierced through the ninja's body. This time, he couldn't die any longer. Ah, Dongchi-kun. Because all this happened so suddenly, the three remaining ninjas didn't realize it until the ninja died, and all of them exclaimed. And Uehara Kai took this opportunity to directly kick a ninja who was distracted, and then quickly hand seal with both hands. Doden, Earth Style, Earth Dragon Bullet. I saw a huge earth dragon rise from the ground, and then spit out earth cannonballs one after another. This earth dragon bullet is incomparable to the one used by Dong Shenyao. The mud bullets are like bombs, with enormous power. In the face of the continuous mud cannonballs, several ninjas could only keep dodging. It has also been a while since I was on a mission with Uehara Kai, and the two cooperated tacitly. Seeing Uehara Kai using Earth Dragon Bullet, Dong Shenyao did not hesitate. Doden, Earth Style, Swamp of the Underworld. In an instant, a range of dozens of meters turned into a swamp. Chapter 47 Mission completed. Ask for flowers. Ask for a monthly pass. Ask for a reward. Ask for collection. Doden, Earth Style, Swamp of the Underworld. After Dong Shenyao used his ninja technique, the ground of hundreds of square meters turned into a swamp. This was something that Dong Shenyao couldn't do before the breakthrough. After Dong Shenyao used Swamp of the Underworld, he only created a swamp of dozens of square meters at most. At this time, after breaking through to the special Jonin, the power of Dong Shenyao's Doden, Earth Style, ninjutsu has been strengthened. That's right, at this time Dong Shenyao can already be regarded as a special Jonin, because in terms of the power of ninjutsu, Jonin is no longer weak, just like the special Jonin who was killed by Dong Shenyao before. Originally, the three ninjas were avoiding Uehara Kai's Earth Dragon Bullet, and they had no time to pay attention to their feet. At this time, the ground suddenly turned into a swamp. These three ninjas were tragic, and two of them fell into it. As for the remaining one, the reaction was quicker, and he quickly used the substitute technique to avoid it. And one of the two ninjas who fell into the swamp quickly hand seal, and finally spewed a large flame. The powerful flame evaporated a lot of water in the swamp, and he took this opportunity to jump out. The other one was unlucky. Before he could struggle, he was hit by a mud cannonball, and the whole person was completely submerged in the swamp. After successfully solving one again, Kai Uehara felt more relaxed. Doden, Earth Style, Slate Coffin. The surrounding rocks rose, trapping a ninja directly inside. Secret Art Air Blast. The ninja bound inside hurriedly used a secret technique, which actually detonated the surrounding air, and the violent explosion directly shattered the surrounding rocks. Although he was careful, the close-range explosion injured the ninja himself who used the secret technique. Doden, Earth Style, Rockfall. At this time, Dong Shenyao's attack came, and a huge rock fell from the sky. Kaden, Fire Style, Dragon Fire Bullet. Another hostile ninja hurriedly used Kaden, Fire Style, to attack the rock, trying to free his mate. It's now. I don't know when Tashinyao appeared behind this hostile ninja using Kaden, Fire Style, with a Rasengan in his hand. Boom. Rasengan attacks on a ninja using Kaden, Fire Style, a powerful attack that knocks the ninja into the air. At this time, there is no need for Dong Shenyao to continue to attack, because Uehara Kai has already prepared. Doden, Earth Style, Rip the Earth. I saw Kai Uehara slap the ground, and suddenly a huge crack opened in the ground, and then the ninja who was knocked away by Dong Shenyao fell directly into the crack. Boom. Under the control of Kai Uehara, the crack quickly closed, and it can be predicted what will happen to this ninja. In the blink of an eye, the four ninjas who besieged Uehara Kai were destroyed by the addition of Dong Shenyao, and the only surviving ninja looked at Uehara Kai in horror. Yao, you can go and help Wenye and the two of them. Leave this person to me. Uehara Kai shouted to Dong Shenyao. I got it, teacher. After speaking, Dong Shenyao left without stopping at all. Both Kudo Shun's opponents were Chunin, and with the help of Tashinyao, they both resolved their opponents quickly. At the same time, Kei Uehara had already dealt with the remaining enemy. The battle is over. After Kei Uehara met, they shared their experiences with each other. Kai Uehara was overjoyed when he learned that Dong Shenyao's strength had broken through again, and at the same time Dong Shenyao also knew what happened after he left. It turned out that not long after he disguised as a daimyo and left the capital, the daimyo mansion was attacked. The ordinary soldiers on the periphery could not stop it at all, and they were quickly slaughtered. In the end, the three of Uehara Kei shot and blocked the enemy. The enemy has a total of 6, 2 of which are Jonin, and the remaining 4 are Chunin. Although Kai Uehara was happy for Dong Shenyao's breakthrough, his face darkened after learning about his experience. I saw Uehara Kai brought Dong Shenyao and the 3 to directly find Daimyo. Mr. Daimyo, there are actually 2 Jonin, 4 Chunin and 1 special Jonin who attacked you this time, which has exceeded the normal A-level mission. The scope is even more than the quest bounty you gave. Aren't you ready to explain it? Sorry, I concealed the difficulty of the mission. Daimyo said apologetically after bowing deeply. Damn, you know, because of your concealment, one of my subordinates almost died. Uehara said angrily. If it wasn't for Dong Shenyao's successful breakthrough, the hostile ninja did not expect this change. I am afraid the result of the battle is really hard to say. Sorry, it's just that Chen Zhiguo's finances are tight, and I really can't get that much money to release the task. Daming said a little embarrassedly. Mr. Daimyo, now that the enemy has been resolved, I want to know the truth of the matter. Okay. Daimyo didn't hide it anymore and explained the matter directly. It turned out that the one who attacked him was a member of the ninja family. These ninjas had contacted the daimyo of the country of Chen before. They wanted to set up a ninja village in the country of Chen, and hoped that the daimyo of the country of Chen could support. It's just that the daimyo of the country of Chen knows that there is a war in the ninja world now. If he establishes a ninja village here, I am afraid it will attract the peeps of other villages. At that time, the country of Chen will be involved in the war of ninjas, so the daimyo of the country of Chen will be involved. Refused. The ninja family was obviously unwilling to give up just like that, so they threatened the daimyo of Chenjiguo to kill him if he did not agree within a certain period of time. That means you forged that threatening letter? Uehara asked after hearing daimyo's explanation. That's right, there's actually no threatening letter, it was written by me. Kai Uehara fell silent, while daimyo had a worried expression on his face, not knowing what decision Kai Uehara would make. Please don't blame my father, he is also for this country. At this moment, Asuka suddenly knelt down. Yao, you decide, after all, the real victim is you, and you almost died in the battle. Uehara Kai suddenly looked at Dong Shenyao who was beside him. Mr. Qi, although I feel a little unruly, I'm still ready to forgive Dame, because I also gained something. Dong Shenyao smiled. Okay, since you've decided, forget about it. But I'll report this matter truthfully to Lord Hokage. Thank you, Daimyo and Asuka said at the same time. A few of you are tired, I'll have someone prepare food and hot water for you. Daimyo flattered. Then I'll trouble you. Uehara Kei did not reject the daimyo's kindness. Since the daimyo had to deal with post-war matters, he entrusted his subordinates with the task of entertaining Kei Uehara and the others. At the same time, Asuka also stayed. Yo-kun, thank you for saving me this time. Asuka looked at Dong Shenyao gratefully. It's nothing, I'm just for the mission. Dong Shenyao said calmly. Well, it's just a mission. Asuka suddenly showed a disappointed expression on her face. Chapter 48 Skyrocketing Points. Looking at the lost expression on Asuka's face, Ta Shenyao was a little confused. It's really a woman's heart. I don't know what happened to Asuka. I was happy just now, and now it's like this. Dong Shenyao thought to himself. After rearranging room and board for Ta Shenyao and others, the depressed Asuka left. Yao, what happened to Princess Asuka? What did you say to her? Uehara Chi also saw Asuka's abnormality, and immediately asked. I don't know either, Ta Shenyao said with a puzzled expression on his face, and at the same time repeated the previous conversation with Asuka. Is that so? After hearing Dong Shenyao's words, Uehara-chi showed a thoughtful expression on his face. After a long while, just when Dong Shenyao was a little impatient, Uehara-chi suddenly said, "Yao, I see if this Princess Asuka likes you." How is that possible? Dong Shenyao looked at Kai Uehara in surprise. "Mr. Chi, Princess Asuka and I have only known each other for a while, and there was a conflict at the beginning. How could she like me?" Dong Shenyao shook his head. "Yao, you don't understand. Today she was in danger and you saved her. This is a hero-saving beauty, so it's normal for Princess Asuka to like you." Uehara-K analyzed. Dong Shenyao is not a real child, he has had girlfriends in his previous life, and he is not ignorant of emotional matters. At this time, after being reminded by Kai Uehara, Ta Shenyao also found some problems. Although he suspects that Asuka is in love with him, Ta Shenyao is not ready to touch his feelings now. His priority now is to strengthen his own strength. "Mr. Chi, this is all just your guess. Okay, I'm going to take a shower. Goodbye, Mr. Chi." After speaking, Dong Shenyao hurriedly ran away. "Hee, is this kid shy?" Uehara Kai smiled, obviously misunderstanding Dong Shenyao. As for the two Kudo Shun, at this time, they looked at the back of Dong Shenyao leaving with a look of admiration. "Yao is so amazing, he can actually make the princess fall in love," Kudo Jun said enviously. Hearing this, Fumino Kimura couldn't help but agree. "Yeah, it would be nice if there was also a beautiful woman who could fall in love with me." Bang, bang. Uehara-chi directly knocked on the heads of Kudo-jun and said, "Okay, wake up the two of you. Don't daydream. If you have time to think about women, it is better to practice with your heart, and when you are strong, women will take a fancy to you." I know Mr. Kai. After hearing the lesson of Kai Uehara, Toshi Kudo and the two hurriedly agreed, and then ran away in a hurry. "It's really the little devils now. I didn't have time to think about this when I was as old as them." Uehara-K shook his head and said. Dong Shenyao immediately started to take a hot bath after returning to his room. I have to say that the daimyo is very attentive, not only preparing a room for them, but also preparing a bath water in the room. After entering the hot water, Dong Shenyao's spirit entered the God creation space. He remembered the sound of the system prompt before. As soon as he entered the God-making space, Dong Shenyao immediately turned on the war function to check it out. I saw that he had completed AB level mission, the repeatable mission of killing a special Jonin, and obtained 999 God-making points. That's great, the God creation point in front of you. Dong Shenyao couldn't help cheering. However, he remembered that he not only completed such a task, and immediately Dong Shenyao continued to watch. Soon Dong Shenyao found that there were still several tasks to be completed, namely killing 10 Chunins and killing an elite Chunin. And of course the repeatable task of killing Chunin was done again. It seems that one of the two ninjas I just killed was an elite Chunin. Dong Shenyao thought to himself. As soon as these two tasks were completed, Dong Shenyao once again obtained hundreds of God constructing points. He roughly calculated and found that his divine constructing points had more than doubled directly, which was close to 3,000. Come on. After a night of rest in the Tatsu country, Ta Shenyao and the others returned to Konoha early the next morning. Before leaving, Asuka specially came to see him off, and even invited Dong Shenyao to come to Chinland as a guest in the future. At this time, Dong Shenyao has already seen Asuka's intentions for him. Speaking of which, Asuka looks very beautiful. If it were changed to a previous life, Dong Shenyao might have been tempted, but at this time, Dong Shenyao temporarily suppressed the feelings in his heart. Emotions, he is not ready to consider emotional matters until he has enough strength. Along the way, several people returned to Konoha very safely, and Uehara-chi directly took Dong Shenyao and others to the Hokage building to hand in the task. That's what happened to Lord Hokage. Kei Uehara remarked roughly on his trip to the kingdom of Chen this time. It turned out to be like this. Forget it, since it has been completed, then let it be like this. Senju Tobarama did not care too much about the fact that Tatsunokuni concealed the details of the mission. Of course, this is only superficial. Understood. After handing in the task and receiving the bounty, Kai Uehara and others left directly. Ah, I didn't expect that we have completed an A-level mission. Kudo-jun said excitedly. Yeah, this is the first time our group has completed an A-level mission independently. Kimura Fumino agreed. At this time, even Dong Shenyao, who had always been steady, had a look of excitement on his face. Because just when Senju Tobarama announced that their mission was complete, Dong Shenyao received a notification from the system that one of his A-level missions was also completed. The requirement for this quest is to complete an A-rank ninja quest. It's really a bumper harvest this time. Dong Shenyao was excited at the thought of this A-level mission reward. Immediately after saying goodbye to Kei Uehara and others, he returned home directly. Entering the god-making space and seeing the direct increase of 2,000 god-making points, Dong Shenyao realized that before he knew it, he was about to accumulate enough god-making points to exchange for ordinary Uchiha bloodline. When Dong Shenyao recovered from his excitement, he found that it was very late, so he didn't do anything else and started to sleep. Since the Chunin exam is coming, Dong Shenyao and the others did not do any tasks in the next time, but started to practice under the guidance of Kai Uehara. Especially for Ta Shenyao, Uehara Ki, a master of Doden Earth style, directly began to personally guide Ta Shenyao to practice Doden Earth style. Although there are earthy fruits, Dong Shenyao has made rapid progress in Doden Earth style, but after all, he is groping for himself, and the speed of cultivation is relatively slow. Now, with the teachings of Kai Uehara, Dong Shenyao has made rapid progress, and even the development of Tudu fruit has also improved a little. Chapter 49 Chunin exam begins. Time passed slowly during Dong Shenyao's study, and soon came the day of the Chunin exam. About the Chunin exam, so the three of them gathered at the old place early in the morning and rushed towards the exam site. Uehara K didn't tell Dong Shenyao and the others what the Chunin exam was going to take, but he did say a few things, nothing more than theory and actual combat. Yao, do you think we can pass the Chunin exam this time? Kudo-shun asked while walking on the road. Who knows, there are quite a few ninjas from other countries coming to the village these days, and you have all seen them. You can see from their aura that they are not weak. At worst, they should have the strength of elite genin, and even most of them already have Chunin. Therefore, no one can say what the result of this exam will be. Dong Shenyao said with a serious expression. Yeah, I saw a person yesterday. It was terrifying. He had an icy aura all over his body, like a poisonous snake. Just looking at him made me chill. Kimura Fumiya said with lingering fears. Oh, is it really that strong? Kudo-shun was obviously not convinced. I don't know how strong it is, but I'm sure that he has killed many people. Kimura Fumino said with a solemn expression. Kimura Fumino has also killed people, so he knew that the coldness he felt yesterday was entirely caused by murderous intent. The three of them had come to a building, and this was the place where the first exam for Chunin selection was conducted. As soon as they entered the building, the three of Dong Shenyao were stunned, because there were many people in the hall at this time. Strange, why don't these people go to the exam room? What are they doing here? Kudo-jun said curiously. This should be a pre-exam test. Dong Shenyao said after looking around. Pre-exam test? What is that? Kudo-shun asked with a puzzled look. It's to get rid of those who are not eligible to take the test. Kimura Fumino explained. Nani, didn't we all sign up? Why are we not qualified to take the exam? The simple-minded Kudo-jun obviously didn't understand. Dong Shenyao kept silent when he heard the words, but Kimura Fumino could only open his mouth to explain. Jun, you must know that registration is very simple. As long as you have the permission of the guide Jonin, you can apply, so there are often some people who are not strong enough to mix in. Chunin exams are cruel, and even death will occur, so in order to avoid unnecessary casualties, those with insufficient strength will be eliminated before the exam, lest they die. Hearing Kimura Fumino's explanation, Kudo-shun suddenly realized, but then he asked again, so that's the case, what is the content of the test? Jun, can't you see for yourself? Kimura Fumino said helplessly. At this time, Dong Shenyao had some sympathy for Kimura Fumino, and it was enough for Kimura Fumino to have a headache to form a team with such a mindless person for a year. Kudo-shun also knew his own shortcomings. After seeing the appearance of Kimura Fumino, he was embarrassed to continue to ask, and he could only observe it himself. Kudo-jun found that there were 3 passages at the end of the hall, and above the 3 passages were a sign, and the 3 signs also had the word "a" written on them. Let's go, the exam is about to start, don't waste time. Said, Dong Shenyao walked towards the passage. Yao, our exam location is room 204 on the 2nd floor of No. There are 3 A's here. Which one are we going to take? Kudo-shun asked. Jun, why do you ask so many questions, just follow Yaojo. After Kimura Fumino finished speaking, he pulled Kudo-jun and followed. In fact, Dong Shenyao already knew what this test was the moment he entered the hall. Similar to the original work, they are all demonic illusion tests, but the test is much more difficult than the original work. Dong Shenyao guessed that the ninja who used demonic illusion was at least a Jonin. It is possible to see through this demonic illusion, but it is impossible to crack it. Although Dong Shenyao did not turn on Sharingan at this time, but even so his resistance to demonic illusion has increased a lot, coupled with his strong spiritual power, so demonic illusion in this hall has no effect on Dong Shenyao. In Kudo-jun's view, the signs on the 3 passages are all A, but in Dongshin Dazzling, only the middle one is A. However, Dong Shenyao did not explain, and walked directly into the middle passage, and soon Kimura Fumino and the 2 also followed. After seeing the actions of the 3 of Dong Shenyao, dozens of people in the hall became a little bit eager to move. Some of these people are watching, and some really can't see through this demonic illusion. After seeing Dong Shenyao's choice at this time, 2 groups soon followed after hesitating for a while. Obviously they can't see through this demonic illusion, so they can only choose to believe in Dong Shenyao. This is actually the examiner's intention, and sometimes luck is also a kind of strength. If you can't see through demonic illusion yourself, it's okay to choose the right person. After walking down the stairs at the end of the corridor to the 2nd floor, Dong Shenyao and the 3 quickly found the examination room. After pushing the door and entering, I saw that most of the seats in the classroom were already filled with people. A general glance, Dong Shenyao found that there were ninjas from every ninja village in the classroom, and there were hundreds of people, and among them, the ninjas of Konoha village were undoubtedly the most. After all, Konoha was the home court. Since they didn't know much, the 3 of Dong Shenyao randomly found a seat and sat down, waiting for the exam to start. As time passed, people entered the examination room one after another, and soon the examination time began. Bang! The door opened, and a man with a serious expression walked in first, followed by more than 20 men. The man in the lead walked to the front of the examination room, glanced at everyone present, and said, "Hello everyone, I am the chief examiner of Chunin's selection of the first examination. My name is Suzuki Lang, and now I will talk about the rules of this examination. Remember, you don't interrupt when I'm talking, or you'll be disqualified from the exam. If you have any questions, wait until I'm done." After speaking, the man continued to say, "Regardless of the reaction of the people below, this exam is a written exam. There are 10 questions in the exam. If you answer the 6 paths correctly, you will pass the exam. If you take the exam, then the entire team will fail. Also, don't cheat. Once the invigilator finds out that they have cheated more than 3 times, they will be directly expelled from the exam room, and the same team will also leave. Well, now I announce that the exam begins. Sorry, this chapter is a little late. Chapter 50, second round. Although the examiner Suzuki Lang previously said that he could ask questions after explaining the rules, but in fact he did not give the candidates a chance to ask questions at all, and he directly announced the start of the test after saying the rules. Soon a group of invigilators began to distribute test papers. "Yao, what should we do?" Kudo-jun looked at Ta Shenyao next to him and asked. Cold salad. Dong Shenyao replied expressionlessly. He knows that this first exam is not so much a competition as a test of intelligence-gathering ability, but Kudo-shun is a taijutsu ninja and is not good at all kinds of ninjutsu. It is more difficult for him to cheat than the sky, so in the end, it can only rely on him and Kimura Fumino. At this time, Kimura Fumino did not ask Ta Shenyao like Kudo-shun, but had a thoughtful look on his face, apparently also aware of something. Soon the scroll was posted, and Dong Shenyao looked at it and found that he knew how to do it. It can be said unceremoniously that Dong Shenyao is the legendary scholar, just like Sakura in the original book. As a person with an adult soul, Dong Shenyao knows the importance of basics, so when he was studying at the ninja school, Dong Shenyao studied very seriously, not only practical exercises, but even theoretical knowledge. Dong Shenyao was serious of learning. Therefore, Dong Shenyao did not need to cheat at all in the content of this competition. After reading the questions, he began to answer the questions. This exam is 1 hour long, so you all hurry up. Suzuki Lang reminded again. Suddenly, many people were anxious, including Kimura Fumino and Kudo-jun. However, Kimura Fumino soon discovered that Ta Shenyao was answering the question. He also read the topic just now, and found that he would know 1 or 2 at most. Forget it, just copy it. Thinking of this, Kimura Fumino waited. However, after more than 20 minutes, Dong Shenyao finished the test paper. Seeing this, Kimura Fumino immediately cast demonic illusion on Dong Shenyao. Because Dong Shenyao did not resist, Kimura Fumino easily pulled him into the illusion. In the illusion, Dong Shenyao told Kimura Fumino the answer. When Kimura Fumino finished copying the scroll, he used demonic illusion to pull Kudo-shun into the illusion, and then told him the answer. Finally, when the 3 of them finished writing their answers, there were only 10 minutes left before the end of the exam. At this time, there were already a lot of people missing in the entire examination room, and these people were expelled by the invigilator who discovered cheating. Chunin exam that the protagonists encountered in the original book. There were no 10th questions, so the exam was over after an hour. The invigilator collected the exam papers and immediately started judging the papers. More than 20 people judged the papers together, so the whole process was very brief, and it was over in less than 10 minutes. Now I'll announce the qualified teams. After taking over the list, Suzuki Lang glanced at everyone and said. Hearing Suzuki Lang's words, everyone in the examination room was a little nervous. The 3rd group, the 8th group, the 34th group. Great, we passed, Kudo-jun said excitedly. Not only him, but many people who passed were also very excited. Okay, what's the matter, the next exam is the key. Dong Shenyao reminded. Well, I know, after all, being a ninja who has experienced many battles, Kudo-shun quickly calmed down. Soon Suzuki Lang read out the groups that passed, and Ta Shenyao roughly counted them and found that there were a total of 42 groups that passed. As expected of the elites of various villages, so many groups passed. 42, that is, a total of 126 people passed the first exam. Dong Shenyao secretly calculated in his heart. At this time, it was not far from the Sengoku era, and the first war in the ninja world began. Therefore, in addition to the 5 major ninja villages, there are many small ninja villages in the world. It was only later that with the outbreak of previous ninja wars, many ninja villages perished, so at the beginning of the original story, the number of ninja villages was so small. Chunin selection this time is unprecedented, so it has attracted many ninjas from Ninja Village. Moreover, in order to reflect the strength of this village, each ninja village has sent its own elite, so it is not surprising that so many groups have passed at once. After the list was announced, all those who failed the exam were expelled by Suzuki Lang. Then he looked at the rest of the people and said, "Congratulations on passing the first exam. The examiner in the second round will tell you about the next thing." After saying that, Suzuki Ro turned around and left. Without letting Dong Shenyao and the others wait for a long time, they saw a young man in his 20s walk in. The man glanced at everyone with a smile on his face and said, "Hello everyone, my name is Toyokawa Taro, and I am the chief examiner for the second exam. The second exam will be held tomorrow, and everyone must be before 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Assemble at the training ground on the 13th. Okay, that's all, I'll say goodbye, see you tomorrow." After speaking, Toyokawa Taro left without waiting for the examinee to ask anything. And the smile on his face never changed. This teacher looks so kind, much better than the previous Suzuki RO. After Toyokawa Taro left, Kudo-shun couldn't help but comment. "Brother Jun, don't be fooled by appearances, this Toyokawa Taro is probably more terrifying than Suzuki." Tashinyao reminded. "Yao why?" Kudo-shun asked. "Intuition." After answering casually, Dong Shenyao got up and walked out. "Intuition. Is your intuition really accurate?" Kudo-shun followed and asked. Unfortunately, Dong Shenyao didn't say any more. In fact, Tashinyao really felt that Toyokawa Taro was very dangerous. Of course, the most important thing was to analyze it. How can a person who can become an examiner be simple? At least he must be a jonin, and who can become a jonin is easy to be with. And Dong Shenyao found that Toyokawa Taro's smile was a little fake. Obviously this was just his disguise. However, Tashinyao is not going to explain these things to Kudo-jun. After all, it may be difficult for Kudo-jun to understand these things. After leaving the examination room, Dong Shenyao and Kimura Fumino agreed to meet at the number 13 training ground tomorrow and then go home. Dong Shenyao knew that he might have to fight in the next exam, so after returning home, he did not practice as hard as usual, but recharged his energy and prepared for the next test. Of course, Dong Shenyao did not forget to put system task search again. One night passed, and Dong Shenyao had already arrived before 8 o'clock the next day. It didn't take long for Kudo-shun and the two to arrive one after another. As time passed, more and more people gathered outside the training ground on the 13th, and finally, it was 8 o'clock. Chapter 51 Doom Forest. Just after 8 o'clock, Toyokawa Taro brought people to the gate of the number 13 training ground on time. With a gentle smile like yesterday, Taro Toyokawa glanced at everyone present, and then coughed lightly. "Cough, okay, it's time for the exam, but I want to say something before the exam officially starts. The second time the venue for the exam is the training ground next to us on number 13. Speaking of which, Toyokawa Taro pointed to the dense jungle surrounded by guardrails. At the same time, the eyes of Tashinyao and others followed Toyokawa Taro's fingers and shifted to the number 13 training ground. Although Dong Shenyao stayed in Konoha for nearly 7 years, most of the time he was cultivating, so although he had heard of the training ground number 13, he didn't know much about the situation inside. Looking at the puzzled expressions on Kudo-shun's faces again, Dong Shenyao knew that the two of them had never heard of it. But looking at the lush forest, Dong Shenyao knew that this should be similar to the training ground number 44 where the Chunin exam in the original book was held. At this time, there are many ninjas from other villages who are about to participate in the competition, and even some Konoha ninjas do not know about the number 13 training ground, so most of the people present looked at the number 13 training ground for a while. They all exude curiosity and inquiry. Perhaps seeing everyone's doubts, Taro Toyokawa explained, 13 is an unknown number, so this training ground number 13 is also called the Forest of Doom. The Forest of Doom is very large, and there are all kinds of dangers, not only fierce beasts and poisonous insects, but also ninja beasts. If you are not careful, even Chunin will fall into it, so you have to be careful. Finally, Toyokawa Taro did not forget to remind him. At this time, Dong Shenyao's expressions changed. Ferocious beasts and poisonous insects are nothing to these people, and the ones who can really threaten them are ninja beasts. Ninja beasts are beasts capable of ninjutsu, with chakra villages in their bodies, and even psychic beasts of ninjas belong to ninja beasts. This shows how powerful the ninja is. Those powerful ninjas are not even weaker than human cage-level powerhouses, and even the weakest ninjas are comparable to genin. It seems that this exam is really not easy. Dong Shenyao frowned slightly at this time. because this means that they may not only face attacks from other teams, but also beware of ninja beasts. And just when everyone was thinking about things, Taro Toyokawa continued, because this exam is very dangerous, everyone has the possibility of death, so before taking the exam, you must sign a death agreement, which means you dying in the Forest of Doom has nothing to do with Konoha. It's too late to quit now. If the death agreement is signed, then it is not allowed to quit. Well, after you have considered it, you can come to me to receive an agreement. I'll give you 10 minutes to make a decision, and the exam will begin in 10 minutes. As soon as Toyokawa Taro finished speaking, several ninjas walked over to receive the agreement. Brother Jun, how about you? Dong Shenyao asked, looking at the two beside him. It goes without saying, of course I won't give up. Kudo Shun replied without hesitation. I won't back down either. After that, Kimura Fumino took the lead and walked towards Toyokawa Taro. Seeing this, Dong Shenyao and the two followed silently. Just when Dong Shenyao was about to receive the agreement, he bumped into someone. Hey, kid, don't you have eyes? The ninja who collided with Dong Shenyao said in a harsh tone. He looked up and saw Dong Shenyao, who was protecting his forehead, from the Omegakure village. I don't need you to care if you have eyes or not. Dong Shenyao is also stubborn, since the other party's attitude is not good, he will not be polite. HMPH, this kind of exam is not something that a kid like you can take. I advise you to go home early to drink milk. Ha ha ha. After speaking, the man left with a big laugh. After all, this is Konoha village, and this ninja from Omegakure village can't do too much. Humph. After glaring at the man, Dong Shenyao ignored him and went forward to receive the agreement. Soon 10 minutes passed, and everyone did not give up, and all signed the death agreement. If you think about it, how could someone who has reached this point give up so easily? Okay, now I'll talk about the rules of the game. The next thing you have to do is to enter the Forest of Doom and successfully reach the central fortress, and at the same time you will also get 2 tokens like this in my hand. Said, Toyokawa Taro raised his hands. I saw that Toyokawa Taro was holding 2 tokens of the same style, but the colors were one black and one white. I have arranged for people to place a total of 42 tokens in the Forest of Doom, of which the black and white tokens are the same in half. As for where they are, you need to find them yourself. That is to say, you only have half of them at most. The team can pass the second test. Toyokawa Taro said with a smile. How ruthless. Tashinyao was shocked after hearing the rules that Toyokawa Taro said. Different from the original collection of the second book of Heaven and Earth, now Dong Shenyao and the others need to find the black and white token by themselves, which not only increases the difficulty, but also promotes the battle between ninjas. Because you don't know which team has found the token, and even if you say you don't have the token, other teams are hard to believe, so as long as 2 teams meet in the Forest of Doom, then the battle is probably inevitable. Apparently, it wasn't just Tashinyao who thought of this. After hearing Taro Toyokawa's words, many people's expressions became solemn, and Taro Toyokawa's gentle smile also turned evil in their eyes. What kind of person is this? He is a devil at all, and he would come up with such rules. Some candidates thought to themselves. Finally, your exam time is 6 days, which means that you need to collect the black and white tokens within 6 days and then arrive at the central fortress, otherwise you will fail. Also, only 3 people in a team are alive. If you pass the exam, as long as 1 person dies, you will be eliminated. Well, the rules are here. There are 52 entrances in the Forest of Doom, and you will enter through one of them. Good luck. After speaking, Toyokawa Taro turned around and left. Then a lot of Konoha ninjas walked out and began to lead the way for each test team. At this time, the Omegakure who had clashed with Dong Shenyao before came again. Boy, pray for a while not to meet me in the forest. After threatening, the man left with his team. What happened to Yao? Kimura Fumino was a little puzzled. Although they saw what happened just now, they didn't know what happened. It's all right, it's just a mad dog. Dong Shenyao briefly explained what happened. What a bastard, I must teach them a lesson in the future. Kudo-jun said angrily. Although Kimura Fumino did not speak, it could be seen from his gloomy face that he was not in a good mood. But now is not the time to say this. The exam is about to start. The three of them temporarily suppressed their anger, and under the guidance of a middle-aged ninja, the three of them came to the 13th entrance. 13 is an unknown number. For the sake of the same village, I remind you, you must be careful. The ninja who led the way said solemnly. Thank you uncle for your kindness, but I think this bad luck is not brought to us, but to our enemies, because meeting us is their greatest misfortune. Dong Shenyao said confidently. Hearing that, the middle-aged ninja stopped talking, but looked at Dong Shenyao with a strange look. Obviously he didn't believe it much. Bang! When a sudden signal came, Dong Shenyao and the others stopped staying, and rushed towards the Forest of Doom in an instant, and soon the three of them had disappeared into the jungle. Bring bad luck to others, I hope so. The middle-aged ninja took a deep look at the jungle, then closed the door and left. After entering the woods, Ta Shinyao and the others slowed down. After all, Taro Toyokawa said before that the token might not be hidden somewhere, so of course they couldn't go too fast, otherwise what would they do if they missed it? Chapter 52 First Battle. After entering the Doom Forest about 100 meters, the three of Dong Shenyao stopped in an open space. Let's discuss the countermeasures before we come in and we won't encounter any enemies. Ta Shinyao looked at Kudo-shun and said. Yo, talk about it. Since Teacher Chi asked you to be the captain before the exam, then we will listen to you. Kudo-jun said. At the same time, Kimura Fumino also looked at Ta Shinyao, apparently waiting for his speech. If that's the case, then I'm welcome. Now I have two plans. One is that we carefully look for black and white tokens, and then go to the central fortress. The other is to go directly to the central fortress, wait outside the fortress, and wait. I don't know about you. Which one to choose? After hearing Ta Shinyao's words, Kudo-shun and Kudo looked at each other. Kimura Fumino said, it's the first one, the second one is more risky. After all, I don't know how many experts are in the team taking the test. It's not good for us to run into a strong team. Yeah, although I like fighting, but now our mission is to pass the exam, so be safe. Kudo-shun echoed. Okay, since that's the case, then I'll talk about the first plan in detail. Right now, there are no sentient ninjas among the three of us, so once the enemy is hidden, it's hard for us to find out, so I'm going to divide into two groups, one group in the light, one group is in the dark. Quote. This method is good, so as not to fall into the enemy's trap and wipe out the whole army. Kimura Fumino agreed. Yao, the task of ambush in the dark is left to you. After all, you are better at hiding than the two of us. Kudo-jun said. The three of them have fought side by side many times, so they all know Dong Shinyao's ability to sneak. Once sneaked, even an elite Jonin like Uehara Kai cannot find it. Alright, then you two be careful, I'll take care of you in the dark. After the three discussed the plan, Dong Shenyao did not hesitate, and directly sank into the ground under the gaze of Jun Kudo and the two of them. Seeing Dong Shenyao disappear, Kudo-shun looked at each other and set off on the road again. Kudo-shun and the two slowly rushed towards the central fortress, and at the same time did not forget to search for the black and white tokens. In the blink of an eye, more than an hour passed. Due to the need to look for tokens and to beware of enemy sneak attacks, Kudo-shun and the two did not walk fast, and they have only walked a few miles. Look at Wen Yi, Kudo-jun suddenly exclaimed, pointing to a big tree beside him. Looking in the direction of Kudo-shun's finger, Kimura Fumino found a white token on the trunk of a big tree more than 10 meters away on the left, which looked the same as what Toyokawa Taro showed them before. Fun Yi is the token we need. Great, finally found one. Saying that, Kudo-shun was about to go over and take off the token. Wait a minute. Kimura Fumino suddenly stopped Kudo-shun. What's wrong? Kudo-jun looked at Kimura Fumino and asked. This is the Forest of Doom, and there are dangers everywhere. We have to be careful until we are sure that it is not a trap. Kimura Fumino reminded. Ah, don't mean, I forgot. Kudo-shun said a little embarrassedly. Fortunately, Kimura Fumino had long known Kudo-jun's character, so he was not surprised, just silently took out a shuriken and threw it directly. Whoosh! Bang! The shuriken directly cut the rope on the white token, and then the white token fell directly from the tree trunk. Seeing this scene, Kudo-jun hurriedly said, "Funyi is all right this time." "Jun, go get the token, remember to be careful," Kimura Fumino reminded. "Well, I see." Saying that, Kudo-shun walked towards the place where the white token fell. Although he looks carefree, he is still very cautious when it comes to critical moments. Seeing that the white token was within reach, but at this moment Kudo-shun suddenly found that the ground under his feet softened, and then his body fell off involuntarily. "Ah!" Screams sounded. "Jun!" Fumino Kimura couldn't help but exclaimed when he saw this sudden change. "Hey, kill one!" A burst of laughter sounded, and then 3 people came out of the grass on the side. "Although I don't know why there are only 2 of you left, but now it seems that you are going to die." One of them looked at Chekimura Wenye Road. "Really?" After seeing the 3 Somura ninjas who suddenly appeared, Kimura Fumino calmed down. Doden, Earth-style, dungeon as a prison. Suddenly, the ground surged, and Jinchuriki columns rose up around the 3 ninjas, trapping the 3 ninjas directly. "It's not good, it's a trick." At this time, the 3 people reacted. Able to participate in the Chunin exam this time, and having come here, these 3 Somura ninjas are also elites. After the initial panic, they quickly calmed down and immediately responded to their mistakes. I saw 2 of them waving their fists and smashing the surrounding Jinchuriki column, and the last one was hand seal with both hands, ready to perform ninjutsu. "Do you want to escape?" "It's too late." I don't know when Dong Shenyao appeared more than 20 meters behind the 3 ninjas. After seeing the actions of the 3, Dong Shenyao stretched out a palm and pressed it on the ground. Doden, Earth-style, Earth-thorn combo. This set of combos was used by Ta Shenyao on the special Jonin when he rescued Princess Asuka, but it was finally cracked by the other party. It's just that Dong Shenyao's strength was only an elite Chunin at that time, but now he has reached a special Jonin, and this is not counting the soil and soil fruit. Ah! Countless earth thorns rose up from the face, and a ninja who attacked the Jinchuriki column did not notice. His body was pierced by more than 10 earth thorns, and blood was gurgling. Instead, another ninja smashed a Jinchuriki column at the last minute and escaped. And the ninja who used ninjutsu also escaped from the place where the dungeon was destroyed after using the stand-in technique to escape. It's just that although the 2 escaped Dong Shenyao's attack, the crisis did not end there. The ninja who broke through the dungeon directly hit the demonic illusion of Kimura Fumino, and was then killed by Kudo-shun who ran out of the woods. And the ninja who used ninjutsu also didn't escape. After fighting with Ta Shenyao for more than 10 moves, Ta Shenyao used Rasengan to break his heart. At this point, the battle is over. Ask for flowers. Ask for a reward. Chapter 53 Encounter a strong enemy. After confirming that the 3 attacking ninjas were all dead, the 3 of Dong Shenyao breathed a sigh of relief. However, they still did not dare to relax, because they were not sure whether there were any enemies around. The 3 did not speak. Dong Shenyao first walked over to put away the white token that was used as a bait, and then erased the traces of his and others' existence before the 3 left. After all, there was just a battle here, and it was easy to attract the enemy, so the 3 of them left in such a hurry. The 3 of them stopped after walking for thousands of meters. I'm really tired. Kimura Fumino exhaled a long breath. Don't look at the fact that the battle just wasn't long, but in order not to let the enemy break free from demonic illusion, Kimura Fumino did his best, and then he went full speed, which made Kimura Fumino not tired. Okay, let's rest here first. Dong Shenyao said. After hearing Ta Shenyao's words, Kudo-shun and the 2 sat down directly. Yao just thanked you, otherwise I would be in danger. Kudo-jun said with lingering fears. It's nothing, we are companions, this is what I should do. Dong Shenyao smiled. He sneaked in the soil and had already discovered the 3 hidden ninjas, but Dong Shenyao did not remind Kimura Fumino and the 2, but just modified the traps set by the 3 Somura ninjas. Originally, there were a lot of sharp blades and arrows in the trap, and once they fell, they would be pierced by random blades. But Dong Shenyao quietly took away all the sharp blades inside, so Kudo-shun would be fine after he fell, but slipped away through the secret passage that Dong Shenyao dug out. After resting for more than 10 minutes, the 3 of them regained their physical strength, and then they went on the road again. In a blink of an eye, the day passed and night fell. Dong Shenyao and the others knew that the time for real danger had come. Because the night is the time when many wild beasts and poisonous insects are infested, the doomed jungle is more dangerous at night than during the day. It's getting dark, let's rest here for a while, and then go on our way when it's dawn. Dong Shenyao stopped by a stream and said. Well, I'm just a little hungry. Kudo-jun said, and Kimura Fumino did not object. Dong Shenyao directly mobilized the earth element and made an earthen house beside the stream. Okay, let's live here today. Ta Shenyao looked at Kudo-jun and said. Doden, earth style, is really convenient. Kudo-shun said with some envy. Dong Shenyao just smiled and didn't say anything. In fact, this is not Doden, earth style, ninjutsu, but the ability of the soil fruit, which he thought of recently, otherwise the general Doden, earth style, ninja, but it can't be done so easily. In order to avoid attracting beasts and enemies, Dong Shenyao and the others did not set fire to the fire, and ate the dry food they carried. Although the taste is not very good, it is still no problem to fill the stomach. After the meal was over and the 3 of them assigned the night watch work, Kudo-shun and Ta Shenyao went to bed first. According to the distribution of the 3 people, Kimura Fumino will be the first to keep the night vigil, then Kudo-jun will be replaced, and finally Ta Shenyao will be replaced. Time passed slowly, and soon the night watchman was replaced by Dong Shenyao, and at this time, there were only less than 2 hours left before dawn. Just when Dong Shenyao thought it would be peaceful tonight, he suddenly heard a slight noise from the woods not far away. Whoa! Suddenly the sound of the grass shaking came, and then Dong Shenyao saw a pair of green pupils walking out of the woods. Soon Dong Shenyao discovered that what came out was actually a huge tiger. Unlike ordinary tigers, this tiger is completely black, making his body fit the night perfectly. If it wasn't because of the Yi Jin Jing and the exchange of Sharingan, Dong Shenyao's eyesight was far superior to ordinary people. I'm afraid he would not be able to see at all. Know this tiger. Roar. After seeing Dong Shenyao, the tiger roared lowly, then went straight to Dong Shenyao and pounced. Whoosh. Dong Shenyao jumped up, dodging the tiger's attack, but then Dong Shenyao's face changed suddenly. Because he found that the tiger suddenly turned to look at him, followed by a big mouth, and a huge fireball spewed towards Dong Shenyao. Damn, it turned out to be a ninja beast. Dong Shenyao did not expect that this fierce tiger was actually a ninjutsu beast. Earth Shield. There was also no Dong Shenyao hand seal, only a shield condensed by the earth element blocked Dong Shenyao's figure. Boom. The fireball bombarded the shield, and the smoke spread out instantly. At the same time, the tiger did not stop attacking, and ran directly towards the smoke. Rock fall. Dong Shenyao meditated in his heart, and then a huge rock fell from the sky, directly pressing the tiger running at high speed under it. Boom. With a loud bang, the tiger was directly crushed into flesh-chan. After seeing the tigers being dealt with, Dong Shenyao looked at Sachiya and said, "Okay, come out, the enemy has been dealt with." As early as when Dong Shenyao blocked the tiger's fireball, Kimura Fumino and the two woke up, but because they didn't know the situation outside, they didn't come out hastily. Now that they heard Dong Shenyao's voice, the two came out. Silk done thousands of silk wraps. Just when Kudo-shun and the two just came out, a woman's voice suddenly sounded, and then they saw countless silk threads suddenly appear on the ground. As soon as these threads appeared, they skyrocketed wildly, and at the same time, they entangled towards Dong Shenyao and the three of them. Seeing this, Kudo-shun hurriedly jumped up and avoided the silk thread on the ground, but Ta Shenyao and the two were entangled by the silk thread. I don't know what this silk thread is made of, it's useless for Dong Shenyao and the two to break free. Silk Dunchiansi strangulation. The cold woman's voice sounded again, and the silk thread that wrapped around Dong Shenyao suddenly shrank, and the next moment countless threads directly divided the two Dong Shenyao into countless parts. But soon Dong Shenyao turned into a puddle of dirt, while Kimura Fumino turned into a tree trunk. No, it turned out to be a soil clone and a double. The woman who secretly attacked at this moment also knew that her attack had failed. Come out. At this time, Dong Shenyao and Kimura Fumino actually walked out from behind the two big trees. Clap, clap, clap. There was a burst of applause, and then three people, two men and one woman, were seen walking out of the woods. You are a Konoha ninja who can escape Nami's attack, said a man walking in the middle. Yao, he is the person I mentioned to you before. At this time, Fumino Kimura said very seriously. Hearing this, Dong Shenyao couldn't help but look at the man. The man in the middle looked ordinary, but he exuded a coldness all over his body. Just looking at him made his body feel a little cold. What a terrifying murderous aura, how many people did he kill? Dong Shenyao thought in surprise. Thank you, CXZ 825,338,121, for the monthly ticket support. Chapter 54. The soil fruit is in full swing. It has been 4 or 5 months since Dong Shenyao truly became a ninja, and he has killed a lot of people, but compared to the man who was headed at this time, it is far from the same. Because this person's murderous aura can actually affect the temperature around him has dropped. The three of Dong Shenyao did not speak, but just stared at the three ninjas who came out of the woods. Hand over the token. I saw the female ninja who had just attacked Dong Shenyao and the others said. We don't have a token. Kimura Fumino shook his head. You can die without a token. Speaking of which, the woman shot directly without saying a word. I saw the woman raise her hand and immediately shot several threads of silk towards Kimura Fumino. Damn. Seeing the woman's temper was so irritable, Kimura Fumino couldn't help cursing, then jumped to the side, dodging the silk thread's attack. Bang! Kimura Fumino avoided, but the big tree behind him couldn't. I saw that those silk threads directly pierced the trunk of the big tree. What a strong penetrating power! Kimura Fumino was a little shocked. If he didn't dodge just now, I'm afraid his body would be pierced by this thread. Seeing that the other party had already shot first, Dong Shenyao was not polite, and quickly hand-sealed with both hands. Cadent fire style, great fireball jutsu. A huge flame gushed out, and instantly enveloped the three enemies. Great! Kudo-jun couldn't help cheering when he saw that the three of them didn't dodge. In his opinion, Cadent fire style of Dong Shenyao was directly hit, and these three unknown ninjas were seriously injured even if they didn't die. Soon the flames were extinguished. At this time, there was a mess within a radius of dozens of meters. Many plants were destroyed in the fire, but at this time, a black ball appeared in the center of the flame. This is. Under the astonished gazes of Dong Shenyao and the others, the sphere slowly spread out. Only then did they realize that the sphere was actually composed of countless black threads. After the ball spread out, the figures of the three ninjas were revealed. Because the flames were blocked by silk threads, the three of them were not hurt at all. I remembered, they are from Silk Ninja Village. Suddenly Kimura Fumino exclaimed. Silk Ninja Village. Tashinyao and Kudo-jun were both taken aback, they had never heard of this ninja village. Mr. Chi once told me that Silk Ninja Village is a small ninja village attached to Iwagakure Village. Although there are not many people, there are many strong people. They are good at using various silk threads as attacks. Kimura Fumino recalled. I didn't expect you genins from Konoha to have heard of our Silk Ninja Village. I'm in a good mood today. As long as you hand over your tokens, I can let you go. The murderous young man said with a look of contempt. Morita, don't forget our mission. Another male ninja couldn't help but said. I don't need you to remind me that I'm the captain, so I'll make the decision. The murderous man, Morita, couldn't help roaring. You. Hearing Morita's words, the man's face was ugly. Just thinking of Morita's terrifying strength, the man could only endure it. Don't worry about Hosokawa, Morita is like this. Then the female ninja comforted. HMPH, for Nami's sake, I don't care about him as much. With the steps, Hosokawa no longer pursued it. After all, there are still enemies. Is his name Morita? He looks very strong. At this time, Dong Shenyao already knew the name of the murderous man. He was not afraid because of the murderous aura on the man, but full of fighting spirit, and he longed to fight with masters. Will you hand over the token? The man named Morita asked again impatiently. Doden, Earth Style, Swamp of the Underworld. Dong Shenyao didn't say anything, he just made the first move. The three Morita were all strong, so they immediately noticed the change in the ground under their feet, and they all jumped up. At the same time, Kimura Fumino's attack also arrived. After all, the three of Dong Shenyao had been performing missions together for several months, and they still had a tacit understanding with each other. At the moment when Dong Shenyao shot, Kimura Fumino and the two had already moved. The two of them threw shuriken at the same time and attacked the three of Morita. Bang, bang, bang. The three Morita were hit by the shuriken at the same time, but the next moment the smoke erupted, and then the three of them turned into countless threads. This is the silk clone technique, Kimura Fumino exclaimed. The next moment, the woods behind Dong Shenyao and the three shook for a while, and then countless threads of silk flew out of the woods. It's not good to hide. Kudo Jun quickly exclaimed. Doden, Earth Style, Earth Flow Wall. Dong Shenyao did not speak, and directly used the Doden, Earth Style technique. Suddenly a wall of earth rose. Boom. In just a moment, the earth wall was smashed by silk threads, but this had already bought time for Dong Shenyao and the others. After the earth wall shattered, the three of them all dodged the thread that was shot. Doden, Earth Style, Shenglongba. Suddenly, Dong Shenyao let out a loud shout, and saw the ground shaking under his feet, followed by an earth dragon rushing out from the ground. Under the control of Dong Shenyao, the earth dragon, which was more than 10 meters long, rushed straight into the woods. Boom! The explosion sounded, several big trees were knocked down, and a puff of dust was raised. At the same time, Morita and the others also jumped out of the woods to avoid the attack of the Tulong. After the three Morita were forced out, the Tulong did not disappear. After flying up from the ground again, it rushed towards Morita. I didn't expect Yao to be so strong. Seeing Dong Shenyao controlling Tulong with a serious face, Kimura Fumino and the two were helpless for a while, and they found that they were really getting farther and farther away from Dong Shenyao. Fan Yi, you guys, help me hold that woman down. Dong Shenyao shouted without turning his head, and then controlled the earth dragon to attack Morita and another male ninja Hosokawa. After hearing Ta Shenyao's words, Kimura Fumino and the two did not hesitate, and hurriedly attacked the only female Nami. Boom, boom, boom. The explosions sounded one after another, and in the blink of an eye, they were razed to the ground within a few dozen meters. However, at this time, Long Yi, the god Dong Shenyao condensed with the earth element, was destroyed by Morita and the two manipulating the silk thread. Your strength is a bit beyond my expectations, but that's the end of it. With that, Morita began to hand seal with a serious expression. Seeing this, Dong Shenyao hurriedly threw a shuriken to interfere with Morita. I won't let you succeed. Although Morita was not pleasing to the eye, Hosokawa still blocked the shuriken. Hosokawa manipulated the silk thread into a shield and blocked it in front of Morita, and suddenly all the shuriken hit the shield, making a ding-ding-dong sound. Chapter 55 Kill someone first. Ask for flowers. Ask for a reward. Just when Ta Shenyao's shuriken was blocked, Morita's ninjutsu was ready. Silk done, Saihu bro. As Morita shouted loudly, his hair began to grow wildly. Soon Morita's body was wrapped in hair, and then the thick hair surged, and finally turned into a huge tiger more than 10 feet tall. Roar! The tiger roared angrily, and then it exerted force under its feet to quickly pounce towards Dong Shenyao. Dong Shenyao threw a kuwu to resist. When hearing a crisp sound, kuwu hit the tiger on the body, but he didn't break the defense. What a powerful defense! Dong Shenyao's expression became solemn. But at this time the tiger had already pounced. Dong Shenyao didn't have time to think about it, and hurriedly dodged. Boom! The tiger slapped the ground with one paw, and suddenly the smoke and dust spread everywhere, but at this time, Dong Shenyao had already avoided, and his figure appeared several feet away. Whoosh whoosh! There was a sound of breaking the air, and hundreds of thousands of copies were suddenly shot. It turned out that Hosokawa attacked when Morita attracted Tashinyao's attention. Si dun si chinban. Morita pulled a handful of hair from his head and threw it at Dong Shenyao, and the hair suddenly turned into thin needles like steel. At this time Dong Shenyao was too late for the hand seal. Just when Hosokawa thought his attack would succeed, an earth element shield suddenly condensed in front of Dong Shenyao. Earth shield. Bang bang bang. Hundreds of front doors were bombarded on the shield, and the explosion sounded, and the billowing smoke blocked Dong Shenyao's figure. Damn! Seeing that his attack was blocked, Hosokawa directly cursed. Roar! At this time, the giant tiger Morita transformed into attacked again, and the huge figure plunged directly into the smoke. Soon the smoke dissipated, and I saw the giant tiger standing among the ruins, but the figure of Dong Shenyao disappeared. What about people? Morita and Hosokawa turned their heads to look around at the same time. But he didn't know that Dong Shenyao had already entered the soil. Doden Earth-style decapitation in the heart. Suddenly the ground under Hosokawa's feet cracked, and an arm stretched out, directly grabbing one of Hosokawa's legs. Boom! There was a roar, and countless pieces of rubble flew around. The next moment, Hosokawa was pulled closer to the soil, and only his head was still exposed. At the same time, the figure of Dong Shenyao appeared aside. Although he was buried in the ground, Hosokawa didn't show a trace of panic on his face, instead he showed a smile of successful conspiracy. It's you who's waiting. Suddenly, a man's voice sounded, and then Hosokawa, who should have been buried in the ground, appeared behind Dong Shenyao. At the same time, he saw that the buried Hosokawa had turned into countless threads of silk, which was a silk clone technique. PFF'd. Hosokawa's kunai directly stabbed Dong Shenyao in the back of his heart, and at this moment, a smug smile appeared on Hosokawa's face. Konoha's ninjas are nothing more than that, Hosokawa said dismissively, but just as his voice fell, the smile on his face froze. I saw that Dong Shenyao, who was pierced through the back of his heart, turned into a puddle of mud. It turned out that it was not Dong Shenyao but Hosokawa who had just been tricked, and the decapitation in his heart was just a bait. Not good. At this time, Hosokawa knew that he had been fooled. Rasengan. Unknowingly, the figure of Dong Shenyao appeared behind Hosokawa, and a massive chakra was condensed in his palm, which was Rasengan. Bang! Rasengan was directly printed on Hosokawa's back, and the huge force knocked Hosokawa out. And because of the spinning force of the spiral wind, Hosokawa's body was still spinning when he flew out. Boom! In the end, Hosokawa smashed into a forest, kicking up a cloud of dust. At this time, Dong Shenyao didn't bother to check Hosokawa's situation, because Morita's attack had already arrived. After discovering that Hosokawa was in charge, Morita's giant tiger had already started rushing over, and he finally arrived after Hosokawa was knocked flying. I saw the huge tiger claws shot directly at Dong Shenyao. At this time, Dong Shenyao had just finished using Rasengan, and he had no time to dodge, so he could only raise his arm and punch the tiger claw. Bang! Dong Shenyao's fist was so slender in front of tiger claw, like a small steamed bun, while tiger claw was like a big pot. With one blow, Dong Shenyao was directly repelled, and his body retreated more than 10 meters before he stopped. At this time, Dong Shenyao felt a little numb in his fist, and he looked down, only to find that the fist that had just resisted the attack was already bleeding. At the same time, seeing that one blow did not kill Tashinyaо, Morita was very dissatisfied. Who? Die! With an angry shout, Morita's attack came again. I saw Morita jumped up, and his huge body pressed against Dong Shenyao. Doden, Earth Style, Shenglongba. A huge earth dragon broke out of the ground and went straight to attack the giant tiger. Boom! Tulong bombarded the giant tiger, and the giant tiger was repelled with a single blow, but a lot of stones fell from Tulong's body. Obviously, neither of them took advantage of the blow just now. The ability of the earth and earth fruit was continuously activated, and I saw countless earth elements gathered towards the earth dragon, and soon the earth dragon returned to its original state. This time, Dongshinyao took the initiative to launch an attack without waiting for Morita to act. Tulong jumped up and attacked Morita. Boom, boom, boom. I saw a dragon and a tiger standing together, two huge beasts fighting each other, and the surrounding area was damaged within 100 meters. This giant tiger's defense is so strong. Seeing that Long Yi couldn't break through the giant tiger's defense after fighting for a long time, Dong Shenyao couldn't help frowning. There is such a big movement here, it is easy to attract the attention of other people, and it will be difficult to attract other people. Seeing the giant tiger and Tulong fighting together, Dong Shenyao bit Kiba and activated the tutu fruit again. Rock fall. A huge rock condensed out of thin air, and then smashed directly at the giant tiger below. At this time, the giant tiger was entangled by the earth dragon and could not dodge at all, so it was directly hit by the boulder. Boom! The boulder fell on the giant tiger, and the rubble flew around, and the smoke filled the air. After a while, the smoke dissipated, and Dong Shenyao saw the giant tiger's entire body being pressed by the rock, and was struggling. Judging from the current situation, it won't be long before the giant tiger can break free. Of course Dong Shenyao couldn't allow it. Tangle him for me. Under the control of Dong Shenyao, Tulong directly bound the giant tiger with its long body. There are rocks pressing on it, and there are earth dragons entangled around it. The situation of the giant tiger is very bad. Chapter 56 Token Chi. The giant tiger was not without damage in the battle with the earth dragon before. This giant tiger was transformed by Morita using his hair. During the battle with the earth dragon, many of the hairs were broken, and the bombardment of the rock below, there are many places where there is damage. Condensing such a giant tiger requires a lot of chakra from Morita, and it also requires chakra to maintain the existence of the giant tiger. At this time, under the repeated attacks of Dong Shenyao, Morita's chakra had bottomed out. Damn, how can this person be so strong? It's not that Morita has never seen a strong person, but since his debut, he has never seen someone younger than himself but stronger than him. In Silk Ninja Village, Morita can be said to be the first person of his generation, and even many ninjas older than him are not as strong as him. Because of his long-term experience, Morita was a little arrogant, and he didn't pay attention to his peers, but he didn't expect to meet such a freak as Tashinyao today. Strangle me! Dong Shenyao shouted angrily, and the Tulong wrapped around the giant tiger quickly tightened his body. This time Morita couldn't hold on any longer. Boom! The giant tiger outside Morita's body was directly smashed and dissipated into countless threads. Without the protection of the giant tiger, Morita is like a lamb to be slaughtered. Boom! The rock fell, pressing Morita directly below. Woohoo! After finishing Morita, Dong Shenyao relaxed for a while, and then kept breathing heavily. The battle just now can be described as very difficult. Morita's consumption is large, and his consumption is not small. It's just that Morita consumes chakra, and Dong Shenyao consumes physical strength because he uses soil fruit. In order to quickly kill Hosokawa, Dong Shenyao used several ninjutsu in a row, and even used Rasengan, so Dong Shenyao's chakra consumption was not small. Fortunately, Dong Shenyao knew that this was the Forest of Doom, the venue for Chunan's second exam, and the battle was not over yet, so Dong Shenyao did not completely relax his vigilance. After resting for a while, Dong Shenyao first went to see Hosokawa's situation, and after confirming that he was completely dead, Dong Shenyao hurried directly to another battlefield. He didn't forget that Kudo-shun and the others were still fighting the enemy. In order not to let the female ninja Nami affect Tashinyao before, Kimura Fumino and the two directly led Nami to fight hundreds of meters away. Different from the fierce battle between Dong Xianyao and the others, the fighting momentum of Kimura Fumino and the others was much smaller. Kimura Fumino is good at demonic illusion, so he conducts long-range containment. Kudo Shun is good at taijutsu and fights with Nami in close quarters. As for Nami, although Nami is a ninjutsu-type ninja, due to the strangeness of Silk Dun and her own strength, she is stronger than Kudo Shun, so even if Kudo Shun is close, he will not be able to defeat Nami, but will be at a disadvantage. If it is not for Kimura Fumino contained on the side, I am afraid that he has died in the hands of Nami. When Ta Xianyao found them, he found that Kudo Shun was being pursued by Nami's Silk Dun, and Kimura Fumino could only use some ninjutsu from time to time to help Kudo Shun resist Silk Dun. Through the battle just now, Dong Xianyao can confirm that Morita's strength has reached a special Jonin, and although Hosokawa is weaker, he is also an elite Chunin. And this Nami can suppress Kudo Shun's 2 Chunin strength by one person, obviously they are also elite Chunin. A special Jonin and 2 elite Chunin, Dong Xianyao had to sigh about the strength of this team. If it wasn't for the fact that he had earth and soil, his strength far surpassed the ordinary special Jonin. I am afraid that this time their group would have been planted here. Of course there is no if, and now the winner is them. Dong Xianyao still did not choose to show up this time, but immersed his body into the soil and sneaked towards Nami. Nami is also just Chunin, and the number of chakras is not very large, so it is impossible to use ninjutsu all the time, which gives Kudo Shun and 2 a chance to breathe. I saw Nami use the silk escape to attract the attention of Kudo Shun and the 2, and then flashed behind Kudo Shun, and kunai in his hand went straight to Kudo Shun and stabbed. PFF'd. The blood flowed out, and Kudo Jun couldn't dodge until his arm was cut. But before Nami was happy, Ta Xianyao had already appeared behind her. This time, Ta Xianyao did not use Rasengan, but used kunai to stab Nami's back. Sensing the attack coming from behind, Nami dodged with all her might. It was just because Ta Xianyao was too fast, kunai stabbed Nami directly on the shoulder. After escaping the key point, Nami couldn't counterattack, and her body leapt forward, too much pursuit by Dong Xianyao. It's you. Turning around and looking, she didn't realize that it was Ta Xianyao who attacked her. This discovery made Nami's heart sink. Where are Morita and the others? They are already dead, and now I will send you down to join them. Dong Xianyao said very easily. Impossible, how could you possibly kill them? Nami couldn't accept this fact for a while. Because Morita was the strongest among his peers in Nami's mind, how could there be a ninja of the same age or even younger to kill him, not to mention Hosokawa's assistants? Nothing is impossible, now is not the time to talk nonsense, go to hell. Dong Xianyao didn't care whether Nami would believe it or not, and launched an attack directly. Just hearing a ding 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 dong sound, Ta Xianyao and Nami fought in one place. Nami's physical skills are not as good as Ta Xinyao's, although Ta Xianyao is currently consuming a lot of physical strength, but Nami is also injured, so with only a dozen or so moves, Ta Xinyao's kunai stabbed Nami in the throat. Looking at Nami lying on the ground, Dong Xianyao didn't have a trace of pity in his heart. This is war, you die or I die. I don't want to die, so only you can die. Brother Jun and Brother Fumino, how are you? After Nami was resolved, Dong Xianyao had time to see Kudo Shun and the 2. I'm fine, but Xiao Jun is injured. Kimura Fumino said. He was only responsible for long-range attacks, and with Kudo Shun's protection, he was not injured. And Kudo Shun had a lot of wounds on his body because of the close combat with Nami, and his clothes were badly damaged. I'm fine, too. Kudo Jun shook his head. It's just from the way he clenched the Kiba pass, it's obvious that he's not as easy as he says. Brother Wenye, let's quickly clean the battlefield and leave here. Dong Xianyao reminded. Immediately, several people acted separately, and after a few minutes, after finishing the battlefield, the 3 hurriedly left. I didn't expect to be so lucky this time, I actually got a black token. Dong Xianyao raised the token in his hand and said. Chapter 57 The Battle Resumes. Looking at the black token in Dong Xianyao's hand, Kimura Fumino's face could not help showing surprise. They didn't expect that they had collected 2 tokens in just over a day before the exam started. Arriving at the central fortress within 5 days is enough to pass the test. In fact, not only Kimura Fumino and the others, even Dong Shenyao did not expect to get a token at all, and it happened to be a black token. This black token was found by Dong Shenyao from Morita when he was cleaning the battlefield. In fact, he also wanted to try his luck, so he deliberately took Morita's body out of the stone. At that time, Morita's body was no longer in human form. Fortunately, the material of the token was good and was not damaged by stones. It can be said that with this token, this hard battle will not be in vain. Yao, now we can go directly to the central fortress. Kudo Jun said excitedly. Brother Jun, please calm down. Although we have collected all the tokens, the danger is not over. Not to mention the beasts in the forest, just other teams need to be vigilant. This time we won, but next time not necessarily, so we have to be more careful next time. Dong Shenyao reminded. Hearing Ta Shenyao's words, Kudo Jun also calmed down, and immediately said very seriously, well, I see. The 3 found a hidden place to rest after being away from the battlefield for thousands of meters. Although Dong Shenyao was not injured in the battle just now, his physical strength was severely exhausted. And Kudo Shun needs to bandage the wound well. After more than half an hour, the 3 of them were on the road again, and at this time the sun had risen. As before, Dong Shenyao sneaked into the soil, while Kudo Shun and the 2 followed behind. At this time, Dong Shenyao and the others only asked for one thing, and that was stability. This time the task has been completed halfway, they no longer need to run around for the token, which makes Dong Shenyao and the others a lot easier, and the speed is also improved. In the blink of an eye, more than a day passed, and it was already the 3rd day for Dong Shenyao and the others to enter the Forest of Doom. Since the fight with the 3 ninjas from Silk Ninja Village, Dong Shenyao was able to spot the enemy ahead of time when they were on the road, so once they found an ambush ahead, they would just go around it, although it was a bit of a waste of time, but that's the only way to avoid fighting. Ta Shenyaao is not afraid of fighting, but Kimura Fumino and the others are not. Especially Kudo Shun, who is injured now, is not suitable for too fierce battle. In addition to ninjas, Dong Shenyao and the others also encountered many beasts and ninjas. If you encounter a beast, you don't need Dong Shenyao to take action, Kudo Shun and the 2 are enough to solve it. And once he encounters the ninja beast Ta Shenyaao, he will not be polite. After all, compared to ninjas, the ninjas here are easier to solve because their IQs are not high. Today in Dong Shenyao, I thought that everything would be as peaceful as yesterday, but it didn't take long for Dong Shenyao to find that a few ninjas were resting in front of him. After observing Dong Shenyao, I found that the 3 ninjas had injuries on their bodies. It was obvious that they had experienced a lot of battle not long ago. Seeing this, Dong Shenyao was a little ready to move, he was not afraid of fighting, and even longed to fight. Because of the opening of the war function, Dong Shenyao can obtain god-making points by killing ninjas. In order to obtain a large number of god-building points, Dong Shenyao didn't mind killing more ninjas. Soon Dong Shenyao had some thoughts in his heart. Brother Wenye, wait a second. Dong Shenyao suddenly appeared in front of Kimura Wenye and the 2. What's wrong with Yao? Is there an enemy ahead? This is not the first time this kind of thing has happened, so Kimura Fumino and the 2 are not surprised. In the past, Dong Shenyao would inform them when he found the enemy. There are indeed enemies, but unlike usual, this time the enemy is a little weaker. Then, Ta Shenyaao recounted the fact that all the ninjas in front were injured. Yao, are you ready to start? Kimura Fumino frowned slightly. Yes, although we are ninjas, we advocate completing tasks with the least amount of strength. But we also want to be strong, so we can't just avoid blindly. If we still need to avoid weak enemies, then we will fight against strong enemies in the future. Dong Shenyao's words were very high-sounding, but he received a response from Kudo Jun. That's right, I want to fight. What he suffered before was just a skin injury, and now it doesn't affect the fight much. Okay, but we have to plan well, and we can't rush forward recklessly. Kimura Fumino reminded. I know. Dong Shenyao smiled. After deciding to make a move, the three began to plan. This is an open space surrounded by tall trees. If you don't get close, you can't see what's inside. That's why the three ninjas chose to cultivate here. It's just that they don't know that Dong Shenyao has observed their situation from the ground. Under the guidance of Dong Shenyao, the three of them soon came to a forest. Wait a minute, there are traps ahead. Be careful, you must follow in my footsteps. Dong Shenyao reminded after calling out Kudo-shun and the two. The two did not speak, but nodded very seriously. Immediately, Dong Shenyao no longer hesitated, and went straight into the woods. Under the leadership of Dong Shenyao, the three went straight through all the traps and came to the back of a big tree. Looking through a field of grass, Dong Shenyao and the three of them could already see the three ninjas resting in the open space. These three ninjas were all covered in blood, and there were still many wounds that had not been bandaged. Demonic illusion, the magic of falling leaves. According to the previous plan, Kimura Fumino directly launched demonic illusion. The three ninjas from the small ninja village were resting when they suddenly found a lot of fallen leaves falling around. What's going on? Why are there so many leaves suddenly? A bald ninja asked curiously. No, this is demonic illusion. Another ninja with glasses noticed something was wrong. Shish. The fallen leaves suddenly turned into sharp knives, slicing across the bodies of the three ninjas, leaving scars one after another. Solution. The three were all experienced ninjas, so they didn't move at all and used the method of disarming demonic illusion directly. These three people are not weak, so Kimura Fumino's demonic illusion was quickly solved. However, just as the fallen leaves in front of them disappeared, the three of them saw a large shuriken shot from the woods not far away. Not good. The three of them couldn't even think about who had attacked them, so they just dodged. Among them, the bald man and the glasses man managed to dodge, and the last little ninja slowed a step and was stabbed by two shuriken. The three little ninja village ninjas just jumped up, and before they landed, they saw a figure jumping out of the woods on the other side. Ask for flowers. Ask for a reward. Chapter 58. Arrive at the fortress. Not good. Although the three of them discovered the sudden appearance of the figure, they were in midair and could not do anything at all. Huh. I saw that the figure instantly approached the three ninjas of the small ninja village. PFF'd. A blood flower bloomed, and a kunai slid down the throat of the little ninja. Immediately afterwards, the sneak attacker did not stop, and came directly behind the bald man. PFF'd. Kunwu directly sank into the back of the man's heart, blood gurgling down the wound. After killing two people in a row, the attacker did not stop, and turned to attack the man with glasses. It's just that the man with glasses has already landed at this time, and he uses his strength to dodge the attack. Ding! When the attacker attacked again, the man with glasses had already blocked it with kunai. Death to me! The two companions died in a row, which made the man in glasses furious, and immediately roared, raised his hand, and shot several kunai towards the attacker. Not good. It was Dong Shenyao who attacked, but when he escaped Kunwu, he found that these Kunwusheng were all tied with detonating talismans. Boom! The explosion sounded, and Dong Shenyao's figure was instantly covered by the explosion. Yao! Seeing this sudden change, Kudo-jun and the two exclaimed in unison, and at the same time ran out of their hiding place without caring about anything else. Don't come here, leave it to me. Just when Kudo-shun and the two were worried, Dong Shenyao's voice sounded again. Yao is fine. Hearing that Dong Shenyao's voice was loud and did not show any signs of weakness, Kudo-jun and both heaved a sigh of relief at the same time. Although the explosion came suddenly, there was still a 1-second delay in the explosion of the detonating talisman, which gave Dong Shenyao time to avoid. Before the explosion, he had already used the double technique. After dodging the explosion, Dong Shenyao killed the man with glasses with a cold gaze. It's all right. Seeing Dong Shenyao dodging his attack, the man in glasses bit Kiba in hatred. When the two people's kunai collided, and the huge force directly knocked the glasses man out. Dong Shenyao chased after the victory without giving the man with glasses a chance to breathe. However, with a few tricks, Dong Shenyao seized a flaw in the glasses man and threw a kuei directly into the glasses man's heart. Ah! With a scream, the man with glasses fell to the ground unwillingly. When the battle was over, Dong Shenyao also stopped. The entire battle only lasted for less than a minute and ended, which also gave Dong Shenyao a deeper understanding of his own strength. Even if you don't use any ninjutsu, it's enough to kill Chunin. Dong Shenyao thought to himself. Through the task panel, Dong Shenyao discovered that 2 of the 3 ninjas who had just been killed by him were Chunin and 1 was Genin. Although the 3 had been injured before, and there were 2 people assisted by Kimura Fumino, they were able to kill 3 people so quickly. Is also enough to see the strength of Dong Shenyao. Yao, are you alright? Seeing the end of the battle, Kudo-jun hurriedly walked up. I'm fine, I just made you worry. Seeing Dong Shenyao's relaxed expression, Kimura Fumino was sure that he was indeed fine. Yao, you are really getting better and better. The 3 ninjas have been solved so quickly. I really don't know where your bottom line is. Kudo-jun admired. Hee. Dong Shenyao just smiled but didn't speak, because even he himself didn't know where his bottom line was. Because his strength is improving all the time, although the speed is not fast, but the accumulation is more. At least his current strength is stronger than when he fought with the Shinobi Village ninja before, because the battle with Morita made Dong Shenyao's use of the soil fruit improved a lot, which indirectly strengthened him. Strength. Kimura Fumino didn't say a word, but there was endless fighting spirit in his eyes. If he hadn't known that he was still taking the exam, I'm afraid he would have found someone to fight at this time. Suppressing the throbbing in his heart, Kimura Fumino began to search for the spoils. Bah, poor ghost. When Kimura Fumino checked the bodies of the 3 small ninja village ninjas, he found nothing useful. Not even a single black and white token. Okay, don't complain, these 3 people are not strong enough to have a token, and even if they get it, they can't keep it. Dong Shenyao comforted. Because the battle ended quickly, and the 3 people did not consume much, so after cleaning the battlefield, the 3 of them set off immediately. As they got closer and closer to the central fortress, Dong Shenyao and the others became more and more careful. Because the more critical it is, the easier it is to have problems. In particular, they still remembered Dong Shenyao's proposal to ambush on the only way to the fortress, and then snatch the token. Although Kudo-shun and the others did not adopt it before, it did not mean that other groups did not use this trick. Who knows if there is that group lying in ambush near the central fortress, waiting for other teams to arrive. Dong Shenyao and the others were not in vain. Just when they were more than 1,000 meters away from the central fortress, they found an ambush. And the ambush team is not 1, but 3. Fortunately, Dong Shenyao found out in advance, otherwise once he entered the encirclement, Dong Shenyao would be able to escape, but Kudo-shun and the 2 would definitely die here. After discovering that there was an ambush, Dong Shenyao and the others could only change their direction, and it took an extra half-day to reach the central fortress. It's finally here. Standing in front of the gate of the fortress, Kimura Fumino let out a long sigh of relief. He felt that the journey of more than 1,000 meters took more energy than the previous day's journey. How are we going to get in? Kudo-shun asked, looking at the closed gate of the fortress. Look there, said Dong Shenyao and pointed to the top of the gate. Kimura Fumino and the 2 looked up and saw that there were 2 grooves above the gate, the shape of which was the same as the token in their hands. I see, Toshi Kudo responded quickly this time. Yao, give me the token. Dong Shenyao did not refuse either, and directly handed the 2 tokens to Jun Kudo. After taking the token, Kudo-shun didn't talk nonsense, jumped up directly, and put the 2 tokens into the upper groove accurately. Crack! Kudo-jun had just landed when suddenly there was a crisp sound from the gate, and then he saw that the gate of the fortress opened automatically. Crunch, creak, a tingling metal friction sounded, the door slowly opened, and at the same time a figure slowly emerged. Chapter 59 The Killing Begins. When the gate of the fortress opened, a figure appeared. When he saw the person behind the gate, Dong Shenyao couldn't help but be taken aback. "Why are you, Yoshida-sensei?" Tashinyao did not expect that the teacher who was at the ninja school would appear here. "Yo, we met again, and I'm glad to see you come here." In fact, Yoshida didn't need to say it, the smile on his face said it all. "Yo, is this your teacher?" Kudo-jun asked. At this time, Dong Shenyao realized that the two parties did not know each other, and immediately Dong Shenyao introduced them. "Hello Yoshida-sensei." After learning that Yoshida was a teacher at the ninja school, Kudo-shun and the two hurriedly greeted him. "Okay, you are Yao's teammates, so you don't have to be so restrained. This is not the place to talk, you come with me." After saying that, Yoshida turned around and walked towards the fortress. Seeing this, Dong Shenyao followed without any hesitation, and after Kudo-shun glanced at each other, they silently followed behind Dong Shenyao and entered the fortress. When the three figures of Dong Shenyao disappeared inside the fortress, the gate of the fortress slowly closed. Boom! With a roar, the door closed, and then the black and white tokens above the door were shattered at the same time, turning into powder and dissipating. After walking with Yoshida for a few minutes, the group finally came to a room. "Okay, I know you have some questions. Now I will briefly explain it to you. If there are any questions, I will ask after I finish." After saying this, Yoshida paused, and then began to explain. "Now I first want to congratulate you, you have successfully passed the second exam selected by Chunin. Next, you can stay in the fortress until the second exam is over, and the examiner will inform you what to do next after the exam is over." "Yes. Well, if you have any questions, just ask them now." Having said this, Yoshida stopped and looked at Tashinyao and the three. Soon as Yoshida finished speaking, Dong Shenyao immediately asked, "Teacher, can we leave the fortress now?" "It's okay, but if it's okay, try not to go out. Although you have already passed the exam, if you go back to the woods, we won't care if you are in danger," Yoshida reminded. After getting the answer, Dong Shenyao didn't say much, but only he knew exactly what he would do. "Mr. Yoshida, how many teams have passed the exam?" Kimura Fumino asked. "You are the third group," Yoshida said calmly. "There are already 2 groups that passed." Kimura Fumino thought that their group was fast enough, but he didn't expect that there were 2 groups that were faster than them. "You must be careful." Yoshida suddenly became serious. Before the first group of people who passed the test were the people from Iwagakure village. They only spent more than a day and they are very strong. If you meet in the third test, you must be careful. Quote. "Thank you Yoshida-sensei." After Kimura Fumino asked some small questions, Yoshida left. After all, he still has a task to do, so he doesn't have that much time to catch up with Dong Shenyao. "Yao, what did you ask that question just now? Are you still going out?" As soon as Yoshida left, Kimura Fumino asked immediately. Although Yoshida was Tashinyao's teacher, he didn't get along very much in private after all, and didn't know much about Tashinyao's character. But Kimura Fumino is different. They have been performing tasks together for a few months. After getting along day and night, they have a deep understanding of Dong Shenyao character, so Kimura Fumino knows that the question that Dong Shenyao asked just now is definitely not aimless. "Well, I'm going out." Dong Shenyao didn't hide it. After all, Kimura Fumino and the others would know about it sooner or later. "Yao, what are you going to do? We have already passed the exam. What are you doing in the Forest of Doom?" Kudo-jun asked anxiously. "I want to get stronger." Tashinyao's answer was very simple, but Kimura Fumino and the two fell silent for a while. They now understand Tashinyao's decision. Kimura Fumino and the two knew that Tashinyao was a genius and a person with great pursuits. "Well, I won't care about your choice, Yao, but you must be careful," Kimura Fumino said very solemnly. "Don't worry, although my strength is close, my life-saving ability is still very strong," Dong Shenyao comforted. It was almost dusk when Dong Shenyao and the others arrived at the fortress, so Dong Shenyao did not rush to leave. After all, in order to avoid being attacked in the Forest of Doom these days, they haven't had a good night's sleep. Dong Shenyao decided to take a good night's rest in the fortress while talking. The next morning, after eating the breakfast prepared by the fortress, Dong Shenyao left the fortress directly. Entering the forest again alone, Dong Shenyao had the feeling of a dragon entering the sea. Before he had to take care of Kimura Fumino and the others, Dong Shenyao couldn't let go at all. Now, he can do whatever he wants without the drag. At this time, it was the 4th day of the second exam, and the exam time had passed halfway, but the real Shalu had also begun. Most people were on their way or looking for tokens the other day. For 3 days, most ninjas were close to the fortress. As you get closer to the fortress, the range of the woods becomes smaller, and the chance of encounters between teams increases, so battles become more frequent. It had been over an hour since Dong Shenyao had entered the Forest of Doom, and he was now hiding in the land. On the ground, 6 ninjas from 2 teams were fighting together. Both teams belonged to Shao Ninja Village. As for what kind of ninja village, Dong Shenyao did not know. He is waiting now, waiting for the best chance to get out. Casualties soon followed, with a ninja charred by the flames. Shuichi. Seeing that their companions were killed, the remaining 2 ninjas couldn't help crying out, but they also revealed flaws and were seized by the enemy. Bang! Bang! The 2 ninjas hit the ground directly, and they were directly hit by the enemy due to distraction. Hey, don't hold grudges. If you want to blame it, you have to blame you for your lack of strength. After speaking, a ninja walked up with Kunwu, obviously planning to kill. Doden, Earth Style, Shenglongba. Roar. A soil dragon suddenly rushed out of the descent, and the huge body suddenly enveloped the 5 ninjas below. What? The 5 people were stunned by the sudden change. Chapter 60 The Last Craziness. Ask for flowers. Ask for a reward. Facing the sudden earth dragon, the 5 ninjas were stunned. However, the air wave caused by the pressure of the earth dragon quickly woke up a few people. Hurry up. At this time, the 3 winning ninjas didn't care about cutting grass and roots. Facing the suppressed earth dragon, they only hated their parents for having 2 less legs. Whoosh whoosh. 3 of them are Chunin's speed is not slow, and they have potential to explode at the moment of life and death, so they escaped before the earth dragon was pressed down. The 2 injured ninjas were unlucky, they were seriously injured, and they could not avoid the earth dragon. Boom. Tulong's huge body hit the ground directly, and a violent explosion sounded. The surrounding trees within more than 10 meters were destroyed, and thick smoke rose into the sky, turning into a small mushroom cloud. Although the 3 ninjas dodged the earth dragon's attack, they were hit by many scattered rubble, and their bodies were in constant pain for a while. Whoosh whoosh. There was a sound of breaking the air, and more than a dozen shurikens suddenly shot out of the smoke. The 3 ninjas didn't expect this situation at all, and they didn't even find out where the attacker was before. PFF'd. PFF'd. Immediately, 2 of the ninjas were stabbed by several shuriken, and the sound went silent, and finally the bodies fell to the ground. And although the last person saved one, he was hit with a shuriken in his leg. The only living ninja had just landed on the ground, and a figure had come to him. When the ninja reluctantly waved his kunai to block the incoming attack, but due to the hasty response, his body was directly knocked back. In addition, the leg was injured, so the ninja staggered 2 steps. PFF'd. The attacker took this opportunity to stab the kunai in his hand directly into the heart of the ninja. At this time, the ninja who was attacked also saw clearly that the one who attacked him turned out to be a teenager who looked like he was no more than a teenager, wearing the ninja forehead of Konoha village on his head. After killing the last ninja, Ta Xinyao also stopped. Just now, he took advantage of the opportunity of the winner's slack due to the victory of the battle to launch a sneak attack. Obviously, his plan was successful. He killed 5 ninjas in one fell swoop, and these 5 were all Chunin. The elite Chunin, this time Dong Shenyao directly obtained more than 300 god-making points. After all, an elite chunin is worth 99 god creation points. Dong Shenyao was excited when he saw that there were more than 5,000 god building points, because it meant that he could exchange the blood of the Uchiha clan. It took half a minute for Dong Shenyao to suppress the excitement in his heart, and he even resisted the temptation of Uchiha's blood. The temptation was not exchanged immediately. After all, this is the Forest of Doom, and he doesn't know when he will encounter a battle. He doesn't want to exchange blood here. Dong Shenyao did a simple search, and in the end unexpectedly obtained a black token. Although it was useless to him, Dong Shenyao put it away, then turned and left. Sure enough, killing people and setting fire to the golden belt, the magic point is still faster to kill. At this time, Dong Shenyao has decided to make good use of the next few days. After all, the more magic points, the better. With the sweetness of this time, Dong Shenyao turned his attention to other ninjas taking the test. A chunin is 60 god-making points. If you can kill a special jonin, you will get more god-making points. And just like that, Ta Shenyao's Shalu started. As time passed, there were fewer and fewer ninjas in the Forest of Doom. Some died in the hands of other ninjas, and some were unlucky when they encountered a powerful ninja and died directly in the mouth of the beast. In a blink of an eye, the time has come to the last day of the exam. On a big tree, Dong Shenyao sat on the branch, watching the increase in the creation of the gods in the past few days. His face was filled with a happy smile. For the current Dong Shenyao, being able to get a lot of god creation points is a kind of happiness. These days, Dong Shenyao has made a lot of shots. Although it has not been rewarded every time, it has also increased a lot by accumulating a lot. Many groups suffered casualties after fighting the enemy, and even some groups had only one person left, and this person was Dong Shenyao's first target. Dong Shenyao would not be polite at all once he found out that there was an order. More than 20 ninjas have died in the hands of Dong Shenyao in the past 2 days. Among them, there are nearly 10 people alone, and there are many who only have 2 people left. As for the 3-person group, Dong Shenyao killed less. After all, even if the 3 of them fought alone, they were not Dong Shenyao's opponents, but once they were united, Dong Shenyao had to be treated with caution. After all, this is the Forest of Doom, and no one knows when they will encounter danger, so Dong Shenyao did not dare to let himself be seriously injured. Cognition. If it were just 3 ordinary chunin, relying on sneak attacks and various means, Dong Shenyao would be able to guarantee that he would be completely destroyed without taking any damage. And once there is an elite chunin among the 3, Dong Shenyao will have to spend at least minor injuries to be able to solve the other side. It is precisely because he does not want to be injured that Dong Shenyao often fights with the opponent and then retreats. Although he didn't kill anyone, his actual combat experience was also enhanced through the battle, which made Dong Shenyao's combat effectiveness a lot improved again. It was the last day, and Dong Shenyao decided to go crazy. At this time, just 100 meters away from the place where Dong Shenyao was hiding, 2 ninjas were sitting on the ground and resting. These 2 were also Dong Shenyao's final target. A Megakure who had conflicted with him outside the Forest of Doom. Dong Shenyao didn't expect it to be such a coincidence, and it happened to be able to meet, and these Megakures were also unlucky, and there were only 2 people left. There were originally 3 of them, but they were unlucky. They met the people from Sunagakure village before. Although they managed to repel each other in the end, they also paid the price of their lives. The other 2 ninjas are special jonin, the one who mocked Dong Shenyao at the beginning. The other is just plain chunin. This combination is still a bit challenging for Dong Shenyao. Longjing, we should set off, otherwise it will be too late. I saw a slightly fat young man said to his companion beside him. Damn Sunagakure village, if it weren't for them, we would have already arrived, and Shengping would not have died. The ninja named Longjing said angrily. No way, they belong to the great ninja village, they are powerful, of course they look down on our little ninja village. The fat ninja said helplessly.